Powered by Riverside FM.
The production of Free Radical's first game, TimeSplitters, took around 10 months in total. When compared to the years-long production cycles of its contemporaries, it's quite astonishing what the team achieved in that time, delivering a game that boasted a single-player campaign, multiplayer, bots, map-making, and dozens of characters to play as. It all works pretty much as intended, but as expected within that time frame, everything is just a little bit rough around the edges. If one were to write their own post-mortem, it'd be easy to point out exactly where these things could be polished up. So I guess it's fortunate then that TimeSplitters was an enormous success for eidos and Sony, and so a sequel was very much on the cards. This time, the developers were given 2 whole years to develop TimeSplitters' second outing. The question was, how did this now 30-man team in Nottingham fare out? Well, on this episode of Bullet Time, we continue our look at the shooters of Free Radical Design Limited with their 2002 title, TimeSplitters 2. What's that? Pamela?
Yeah, that was a super old thing Let's Players would use, which was a Skype call recorder, and it was always dreadful. And you could just... you could tell when it was used. It was horrible.
God. Well, like, the audio quality was really bad.
Oh, it was rubbish. It was not great.
Oh, dear.
But it automated the process, and it meant you didn't have to learn how to sync.
That's a fair point, yeah, and I suppose this, it just kind of saves time, which, in the fast-moving world of Let's Plays, you can't wait around for anything. You just gotta hit the ground running.
Can't do editing. Can't spend several hours removing popcorn chewing from audio.
You can't correct if you see that there's an error in the video file, you can't fix it. You have to just keep on recording. That's, that's it. You gotta do it in the moment. That's where the magic happens,
Keep on trucking, yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I'm going to open this podcast with a question, which I very rarely do, but I thought I was having a shower earlier, and this idea popped into my head, and I thought it was relevant to the game that we're talking about today, and it might be a little bit of fun. So,
ooh, okay.
I'm going to propose a scenario, and I'd like to hear both of your thoughts on this. So, here's the pitch. So, 4-person deathmatch, and by that I don't mean 4 people playing like a deathmatch game on a GameCube or whatever. I mean like the actual situation of 4 people are put in a deathmatch like arena style shooter, and these 4 people are famous historical figures. Just to like even the playing field of this. Each of them is armed with a Colt Detective Special, a snub-nosed revolver. They all have, for sake of ammunition, just say that they know how to reload, even though they could be from any point in history. They know that pulling a trigger will shoot a bullet and how to reload this gun, so that's on a fine. In regards to an arena, I had to think about this a little bit because I was like, well, what could be an interesting even playing field? I went for a Victorian chocolate factory, and the reason that I thought of this was because modern factories are too large. This being the turn of like the Industrial Revolution, you haven't got like a ton of space to work with. But
are there like big hot chocolate vats?
There were, yeah, but they were usually like up
I
against
like that hazard.
Yeah, but I was thinking, you have like catwalk ways to kind of like look and see what the other people are doing. You can hide behind machines and stuff like that. There's conveyor belts that can be utilized, so potentially, interesting. But anyways. I'm going to give you 4 historical figures, and I want to hear from you who are you betting on is the winner in this deathmatch.
Oh, I was thinking we'd be picking the historical figures.
Ooh.
Because I was just frantically Googling a list of blind people.
Well, like famous blind people. Like
yeah.
Ray Charles.
I figured that would be the deathmatch pick, is like, but yeah, okay.
God. Lined us up for a joke there. Okay, here's your 4 historical figures. George Washington, Albert Einstein, Genghis Khan and Elvis Presley. Out of those four, who are you betting on is coming out the winner of this death match?
Is it Elvis Presley in his prime?
Yeah, no, I'm
Elvis
going to say that
Presley-
all these people are in there. Yeah, this isn't Vegas Presley. This is like live television Presley. This is when he's still active, and at this point as well, he's also had the military training of when he was in the army for a few years. So
That gives him an edge.
Yeah, I feel
mean,
like
George,
he's the
George
best.
Washington has some experience too.
So George
Yeah.
Washington was a general, famously. Genghis Khan, of course, maybe the most
Yeah.
famous general and fighter in history. But
I
Albert
feel
Einstein,
like his expertise though doesn't lie in a cult detective special.
Right. That's what I was thinking.
you think he's more of a guy? He's like a guy who has to use other guys. He can't like rely too much on himself. Or
I mean,
what?
he was a fighter, I believe. Famous.
Yeah.
He died of a nosebleed. Did you know?
I did not know that. That's kind of
Genghis Khan did? Wow. I
Yeah,
didn't know that
quite a
either.
way to go out.
Oh,
Believe that's true anyway. I kind of want to give it to Elvis. Give me the full list again. So Washington.
George Washington, General George Washington,
yeah.
Albert Einstein, theory of relativity, Genghis Khan, the scourge of East Asia, and Elvis Presley, rock and roll superstar.
Well, Einstein, he'd be good at figuring out the angles and that.
Yeah, like he's more
Yeah.
of he's more of your kind of like boffin build. Like he's small, but I imagine he'd be quick.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Elvis.
You think
Elvis had
Elvis-
moves. Yeah.
Elvis, you think Elvis and Hammers? Are you thinking the same as Elvis?
Yeah, I gotta go with Elvis. I just feel like the revolver would be his style.
I also
Yeah.
think he's also sort of the underdog. The other three are involved in war in some way. I mean, Einstein's he's the more of the underdog.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
going
I
to say
think
Einstein's maybe
Einstein's
more
the
the
underdog.
underdog in this situation.
But he's got that science knowledge.
That is true, yeah. Like, he may be able to... Like, he might not be much of, like, a gunfighter, but he might... I imagine, like, he's a bit of a sneakster. Because, yeah, my money was on... I'm leaning Einstein mostly just because the other three are so obvious that I feel that they would, like, focus on, each other.
You're thinking in terms of game theory, where
Oh, yeah.
the person because he has the lowest odds, no one would think to target him. Ergo, discount him as a threat. It'd come out. That is,
Bingo.
genuinely how game theory goes.
Yeah.
That it might actually be the smartest move to target the weakest player, or
And he was a
player to-
famously smart man, so...
Yeah. He might be
true.
one of the best ones to get like in the mind state of getting into a gunfight too. Like I feel like he can just get in the right headspace to shoot another person. Just be cold hearted about it.
You reckon you think he would like take the scientific like objective approach
Yeah,
to it, just
yeah.
being like, it's either you or me in this. Like those
He just
are the
doesn't
odds.
strike me as an emotional person. He'd just be very cold hearted about it.
pragmatist.
Whereas I think Elvis, would be a bit of a like I don't know. I think it would. I feel like out of all of them, actually I don't know. I don't know if Elvis or George Washington would be the most upset by this concept that they're like this death match that they have to take part in. But then yeah, I can see Genghis Khan and
Genghis
Einstein.
Khan, no,
Just
yeah, he'd
ruthless
be like
killers.
anything to win. I feel he'd be going for it.
Yeah.
And also, I guess you kind of got to hope that someone like him would go down in a few shots. Also,
That-
I'm guessing he doesn't have a horse.
Oh no!
They like
The horse
horses.
is parked outside. The horse is not.
Ah,
like,
okay.
The horse is not.
Oh,
involved.
they've arranged the meet. They've all got there by various transport.
Well, they were all snatched through time, is
Ah,
what I
okay.
was thinking.
Yeah.
In their primes, which segues quite nicely into the game that we're talking about today. But before that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
hi folks, welcome to Bullet Time, the video game podcast about the shooters that miss their marks. As usual, I'm your host, James. Joining me on this mini-series as we continue looking through the titles of Free Radical Limited is YouTube's very own Atom Smasher, the Snakerer.
Hello, I smash atoms. I have blown up my neighborhood repeatedly.
You can't stop doing it.
The moment they stop me from smashing atoms, I don't know.
I was about to say, in every neighborhood needs one. You have a cobbler, you have a baker, you have an atom smasher, you have a tailor. It's just these are roles in the community that need to be filled. So I don't know. But also joining us,
Especially with the energy crisis. Especially with the energy crisis.
exactly. Also joining us on this episode, special guest, first special guest of this mini-series, by the way, is YouTuber MrHammers. Hello.
Hello. I'm glad to be here.
Glad to have you here. Glad to have a fellow fan of this game, which is TimeSplitters 2, which... Would I be wrong in saying that this might be, like, not the high point in regards to, like, technical... Oh, not, like, off the podcast itself, but I think in, like, the catalogue of the Free Radical games, like, this is maybe the best game they've made.
I could definitely see that argument. I remember having a lot of fun with Future Perfect, and I absolutely adore Second Sight. It's a really, really fun thriller. But this game, I think, maybe took like 1 or 2 years of me and my mates like just life playing this after school.
Oh yeah.
It was solid. It would be, I guess, what would be relative to most people's GoldenEye. This was our GoldenEye.
100%. And I'm guessing, Hammers, like, is that like kind of a similar story for you? Because I guess, sort of on an interesting thing is that I think I don't know if you're the same age as us or slightly younger. So I wasn't sure if maybe TimeSplitters 2 was in your kind of like.
I'm 30, so it's about
okay.
right there.
Yeah, there we go. So
okay,
we're all,
so TimeSplitters 2,
hovering
perfect
around
time. Then
Yeah. I mean, I played a bunch of GoldenEye as well, but TimeSplitters 2, it was just like the new and improved version.
Oh, 100%.
That's pretty much it. I missed out on GoldenEye because I was a Dreamcast kid, and had a very crappy unplayed version of Quake 3 Arena on Dreamcast, which used the face buttons for turning and such.
God.
That was not a console that was ever going to be great for shooters, I don't feel.
No, which is a shame because it had the it was the first console that had like internet connection built directly into it, and Quake 3 Arena was like the big demo of that. Was hey, you can play Quake with people across the world just like you can on a PC. I think it did support keyboard and mouse as well. Didn't it?
There was a web browser on the Dreamcast. If it did support that, then yeah, that would be a pretty big feather in its cap.
Yeah, it would be a decent way of supporting that. But I guess just maybe a quick question to you then, Hammers, is I think people listening to this episode probably know who you are, but if they don't, what would you how would you like describe like your videos and the stuff that you make?
I would say it's probably a lot like this podcast. I cover like 2000 era style games. For better or for worse. And
you reminded me that 25 to Life exists, which was that was a flash from the past. I saw a trailer for that game, and because I was really into SOCOM Online on the PS2, and I thought, this is SOCOM, but with cops versus criminals. This will be great.
That was what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
It didn't quite turn out that way.
No.
I don't think so, at least. But yeah, I like playing obscure, not really obscure, but niche titles, to say the least.
Yeah. And do you reckon that, like, because I don't think, that's the funny thing is that they're doing the mini-series, and it's like only a couple of Free Radical games could, like, really apply to, like, they missed their mark or whatever like that. But I guess, like, sort of from, Second Sight, I guess we'll dig into when we do that episode, but that is like a cult game in regards to when it came out. It didn't really set the world on fire. Like, it was a really high quality game, but it just, didn't really get the marketing it deserved. And then Haze genuinely was like a big step down. And then after that, like, obviously they did a Homefront game, but I don't think anybody
there's a few wild years in between where they were, they still are, Crytek UK, I believe, and they did the multiplayer portions of Crysis 2 and 3. So it's genuinely, it's like you have Shakespeare kind of tied up in your basement and you're having him write just like pop ads. It's a horrendous use of talent.
You have him writing straight to DVD like Lethal Weapon sequels rather than what he's good at, which it's funny because TimeSplitters 2, I mean 1 certainly more, but 2 to me does kind of feel like it has a lot of that sort of 7 out of 10 charm. But in regards to games that we've played for this podcast, it is also like the barest example of like not quite the most polished game that we've played, but definitely like the most bang for your buck that you will get with like any title.
It's a very fun core and it's incredibly modular, and that's kind of I'm holding a quote that I wrote down for myself in thing right now, but just to kind of go on about miss their mark and all that. I mean, my personal kind of ethos on what this show is less on like, oh, this shooter missed its mark, and it's more on this was either forgotten by time or the industry didn't really take anything from it. It's like it's remembered, but it's not. Its influence has either waned, or it's a footnote, or it's an odd diversion, rather than, oh, this failed to do what it was setting out to do. Because I think TimeSplitters 2 is, just for what it's doing, is a brilliant, amazing game. Like, just very, very fun, very solid shooter. Like, mechanics. It's still TimeSplitters 1, though I think it's a little bit slowed down. Everything's rebalanced. The funniest thing playing TimeSplitters 1 was how busted pistols were, because it was you could just hammer as fast as you wanted. They fired with perfect accuracy. They were just this nutso weapon. And that's going to be my first gameplay note, is they have so overcorrected that handguns feel like horrible to use at times because they're so slow between shots.
It definitely does feel like it goes back to the old-fashioned FPS design of you don't want the pistol, you immediately want to get something better. Which
it does, but it does kind of help with the dual wield system when it's like, oh, okay, now this is actually usable. But this has the strangest implementation of dual wield that I've seen, which is it's genuinely a separate weapon entity. You don't find a second handgun, bang, you have it. You have to find a distinct dual weapon pickup.
You have to find the special left-handed version of the trigger before you can use it. Not all these right-handed ones, they don't fit. I need to find this. You have to go to the leftorium to get the specific left-handed one.
Which is going to be firing hot brass into yourself.
Yeah, no, exactly. All the bullets will they'll eject onto the other arm and burn you. You don't want that. It is funny that you mention that though, because it is like, for the most part, you don't really notice, because the way that the levels are paced is that you kind of unlock guns sort of as the developers, well, not so much need you to, but like kind of to go along with the pace of a level. You can explore and like get stuff a little bit earlier, but for the most part, it is like, okay, in this section, you're going to like use a sniper rifle. But in this one, we're going to give you like the Tommy gun, and then we're going to kick things up a notch to kind of like compensate for that. But yeah, it is like I was thinking of. I mentioned Atom Smasher earlier, but pretty much like that's one of the only levels where you don't start with a weapon like out.
I actually really love that.
I think is really brill. And like you karate chop a guy in the back, you get a pistol, and then it's pretty much after the first bomb defuse and you go down the corridor that you do then pick up a second silenced rifle. But yeah, it's funny, I didn't really know. I think at the time I just kind of shrugged it off, but I was like, oh yeah, no, I kind of see what they're doing here. This is quite cleverly
I think it's because trying to get through hard on TS1 and trying to get somewhat decent times for a tiny bit.
Yeah.
It just kind of made me really get into realizing, wow, the pistols in this first game are really weirdly balked. They are too good at what they do. So I'd often get all like the later weapons, like the assault rifles and the fucking plasma gun with a grenade launch function, but I just swapped to the pistol because it was so fast and so accurate, and that is no longer the case, which is, I'm complaining, but genuinely for the best compared to what it was.
Oh, totally. I guess then, because I'm trying to think how we should approach this, because I think TimeSplitters 2 is one of those things where it is so kind of like you can't really talk about it without mentioning the first because it is so iterative on what that did.
I mean, I think most people started with the second. A weird fact I learned earlier today. This was the first game didn't even come out in Japan. Japan got TimeSplitters 2 first with the amazing title TimeSplitter Invaders of History, which very charming and pulpy in a way that actually very much does suit the game.
Love a good subtitle. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The box art of it is quite cool as well because it is. Well, actually, I suppose that's one thing to mention, but yeah, like they actually went to the effort. It looks like it's like hand drawn anime that they've done for the cover, but it's of Cortez and Cortez's partner, whose name has slipped.
Hart, Corporal Hart, which
Yes.
I only got because I went and wrote it down earlier on.
No, and I should have known that because she doesn't come back in Future Perfect because she's replaced by somebody else, which is unfortunate. But
I think I'll start then by kind of breaking down just the story intro, which this game actually has.
yeah, I was going to say
Any amount of story.
Where should we start? But I guess let's start with the story mode, which in an improvement over the first game. TimeSplitters 2 actually has a story mode in it.
I kind of got to double back and say it has a framing device. The mode is called story, but it's very, very loose.
Yeah, it's more like episodes of a television show, except that they're random episodes of random television shows that have all been put together.
Yeah, but compared to the first game, it's like miles beyond it.
Oh yeah. God,
the first game story is entirely localized to the menu, to the manual rather, and it doesn't matter. I love that. I actually forgot to mention this during the first one, but I love the credits ending with "TimeSplitters will return," which this game also ends with "TimeSplitters will return" at the end of the credits, and I'm very, very curious to see if Future Perfect does as well. I'm going to
say I will save that fact to that episode because
I'm excited myself because I've not played there yet. But yeah, the story mode, it just kicks off. Cortez and Hart, there's a short monologue about the state of humanity. We're fighting the TimeSplitters. We're on the ropes. Things aren't going well for humanity, and we have gone on this dangerous excursion to go to the space station and grab some time crystals, which will let us kind of go through time, or deprive them of going through time, and start fighting back against the TimeSplitter menace. As we approach the station, we're gunning through them, and TimeSplitters. I kind of love how cheekily it's animated, where they throw them to each other and things. It's very comedic. It's very cute how the TimeSplitters are these horrific monsters, but they're animating like, here, you have a crystal, and they're diving through the time portal. And so goofy, Cortez has to go on a big hunt through time to gather these crystals back. And yeah, from there is just basically no story until the end. It's just a big temporal treasure hunt, and it's great. It's interesting because it's like one of those plots that in retrospect sort of gives plot to TimeSplitters 1, because it kind of this is the game where they introduce who were the zombie guys that kept appearing at the end of levels in TimeSplitters 1? Well, those are the titular time. Again, it's explained in the manual, but it's like, well, these are the titular TimeSplitters, and you begin in TimeSplitters 2, but it's like, oh no, they've been doing this for a while. That's what they were doing back in TimeSplitters 1, was that they were constantly hopping back in time. And I don't know, it's funny that you mentioned as well that like the animations they have are a lot cartoony, because again, big improvement from the first game as well is that like the character designs and like the modeling in this game are a huge step up. To the extent that I think that this is maybe like the best that it kind of got with TimeSplitters, because with Future Perfect is a bit too good. It's higher res, and that actually just kind of highlights the imperfections of the art style.
Yeah, well, at least in this is like the limitation is like a big benefit for it. It's kind of like you don't need them to be like overly. Well, I don't know. They're still incredibly expressive, but you just don't need them like super animated, which is nice. But yeah, it's funny and. It's fun. In TimeSplitters Future Perfect, you do literally travel back in time as Cortez to all these different places, but here they've done was essentially its quantum leap.
I do have a question though. And this goes to both of you, which is, what's actually going on with Cortez when he jumps through a portal and is like someone else? Does he? Because what I love about it is, and it's for the story. This doesn't like really knock me in any way. Does Cortez just decide, well, while I'm commandeering this body, I guess I'll do what they were going to do anyway. I'm not just about the time crystal here. I'll sort out their business.
I was wondering that, because that would make sense in a logical, well, you have to leave time as it was. So, yeah, you do need to complete what they were there for. But at the same time, yeah, it is kind of up in the air in regards, because pretty much the only part where it introduces this conundrum is the first level, where... So the first level is a wonderful Siberian base, because the developers are reminding you we made GoldenEye.
I think it's great. It's such a confident opening. It's like it genuinely feels to me like an announcement of, hey, we were the Rare guys and we're kind of fucking doing this again. We're firing on all cylinders. We're back.
We are nailing this like out the gate. But
yeah, it was an obvious, we did this. This is what we did. Flashback kind of thing. Like the slow pan over the level, and then it starts, the camera like zooms into the back of the player's head, like similar to GoldenEye.
Yeah.
No, and there's even the explanation of it's literally Cortez going into their head. They've managed to find a way to canonize the camera going into the back of James Bond's head.
And here's the funny thing about that, because that effect where you begin a level and you get the pans, you get the establishing shots, and it's like, hey, here's the environment, and it's really cool. That only plays on the first level. Yeah. It was meant to play on... No, it wasn't meant to. In the demo versions and earlier versions, it played on the second level as well, and there are kind of camera instructions on the game's files for many of the other stages.
Interesting.
So, I guess at some point they just decided, we're going to do it here, like, GoldenEye riff, showing what's all about, and then they decided to kind of cut it. So, I don't know, I think it works as a specialized kind of one-off deal.
Yeah, you don't really need them. Like, I could maybe see it potentially being like one of those budget things where it's like, this is something that we could get rid of and then, spend that development time on other stuff. But then it also feels like, well, if it was partially implemented, maybe it was just more of a style choice of it was implemented and worked the first time, but they just thought, no, this slows things down a little bit too much. Let's just get like right into things, So,
oh yeah,
but like each level does have its own mini narrative, and I guess the thing that I kind of like about them is that they almost do feel, as I kind of said the analogy of, they feel like episodes of multiple TV shows thrown together.
Oh yeah,
because the whole thing
they're all genre pieces and pastiches, and they're very, very fun and inventive. Every stage, every single level has its own kind of flow, its own momentum, and I think it's such a wonderful amount of imagination. I think it trips up in a couple of places, but I still love it just for the fact that it's, just doing everything it can think of. And that's also why I think the story just kind of being a framing device that then gets out of the way is perfectly fine, because it'd be weird if Cortez was interjecting, especially... So, first level, you mentioned, it's the one time Cortez kind of acknowledges that, oh, I'm in this woman's body now. Where he kind of like looks and goes, well, I guess it's all up to me now, which is kind of ambiguous a line as to, well, is she saying that or is Cortez saying that?
Yeah.
But then the second level, the noir one, opens with a big noir monologue explaining the main character's motivations. Like, Cortez, that's not Cortez, unless Cortez is just, he very much loved his kind of old noir, and he's getting into it. Yeah,
he'd been reading a lot of Philip Marlowe before they started to fight the TimeSplitters, and so this was a perfect fit for him. As going back into the 1930s guy. It's a shame actually that this is the only game that does the 1930. The first game didn't have it, and the third game doesn't really do it. This is like the only one where they do noir, and it was something that we mentioned in the first episode was that. The way that each level had been designed was that they came in triplets of... it was sci-fi, crime, and horror was the three different type... Every level... That was every level genre was either one of those three. And then this feels like the evolution on it in regards to, as you said, they all feel like really nice style pieces, but even the thing of... the level where you go to Notre Dame, it feels like some old 60s horror, British horror movie. no one who was playing the game when it came out probably knew what any of this stuff was referenced
Oh yeah,
to.
no, as a 9-year-old, the allusions to the old Hunchback of Notre Dame and whatever, that just kind of flew over my head. And yeah, just the horror pieces and the guy, experimenting on maidens or whatever. It's all so distinct. And I mean, I wasn't getting the next stage either. I wasn't getting Return to Planet X with its flying saucers and just being
50s B movie stuff. Yeah.
Because that's what it is. First game, crime, horror, sci-fi. This game is, in order, spy fiction, horror, sci-fi, 50s B movie sci-fi, cyberpunk, spy movie, Wild West. It's just, and they come in triplets in the first game. In this, it's like every level is so distinct.
Oh yeah, it feels like it could be like a vertical slice of a whole of a game that would probably be really good. And it kind of reminded me a bit of, and I don't think we mentioned this at all in the first episode on TimeSplitters, but obviously we mentioned that they're all ex-Rare staff and they'd worked at GoldenEye and whatever, but
we never mentioned Perfect Dark.
We didn't mention Perfect Dark. I think the only thing that I mentioned about Perfect Dark was that they were really into Luc Besson, and they liked La Femme Nikita, which is what Joanna Dark was partially based on. But then the final level is a riff on The Fifth Element. Like, the music in the background is just a rip-off of the opera scene from that film. And, the cyberpunk stuff in this feels like, more Fifth Element-y, sort of, grounded flying car, sort of French comic booky looking stuff, which is very neat. But the thing I was going to mention was that, the last N64 game that Rare makes is Conker's Bad Fur Day, which is full of film references.
I think it's a kind of a common thing of this time. Is a lot of film buffs in games.
Yeah.
Like the Houses were doing GTA, and it was the GTA, the 3D trilogy is just movie riffs non-stop. Everything's kind of trying to be Hollywood. Meanwhile, this is just kind of a send up to every stage is just condensed genre pastiche, and it's amazing how well it just kind of makes them all. Well, okay, I don't think it makes them all work. I'll throw it out. But what are you two's favorite level in the game?
Good. Hammers, you go first. You're our special guest.
Okay. Mine it's got to be Chicago, I think.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's good. That's my second favorite.
I think it's just such a well done level. I like the whole noir thing and the villains. I forget their names, but they're just so goofy. The whole level is just great.
They have a lot of fun with just because it's so fun to just do a wise guy voice, and it just leans in on it so hard, and the grizzled detective, and everyone's scared of the boss.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. It starts with some guy getting thrown through a door. And you gotta find the guy and kill him. I don't know. It's great. And the Tommy guns. You gotta love Tommy guns.
Yeah, I was thinking
probably
One of
my favorite weapon
guns in the game.
Yeah, it's definitely my favorite weapon in the game, and it is.
Yeah.
I almost wonder whether it was a chicken or the egg thing in regards to they were doing the 30 settings, so they put the Tommy gun in, or they were like, okay, what weapons do we want to add to the next one? Oh, we really want to have a Tommy gun, so it's can we make a level around that? I mean, because the Egypt level in the first one didn't have a assault rifle or anything, did it?
It did. So. It did have a Tommy gun. It's just that game. It's just that it wasn't as fun to use in that game.
Because it's the first level, you don't use it that often. I will say the Captain Ash level in this is a giant leap forward from that first level of TimeSplitters one, but I guess you could say that about every level in this game.
Is that your pick for favorite, Aztec 1920?
No, my favorite level in this is Atom Smasher. It is
okay. I thought you didn't like Atom Smasher because you were talking to me about how
no, that's the thing. Everyone told. I read a bunch of reviews and what people were saying about the game at the time. They were like, "I never beat Atom Smasher; it was too difficult." And I just really like the weird challenge that it has. Is that it's TimeSplitters, and this is a level where it is literally against the clock. It's a bit awkward, defusing bomb. I think that the worst part of that level is when you have to do the crane game to drop the bomb and the thing. But
that's kind of a larger part of I have what I just have marked as the hallway of hell in Atom Smasher, It's that
I really
hallway
like the
filled
hallway
with
of hell,
turrets.
though.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, okay.
apart from the stupid mini game, I just loved it felt like a little bit of trench warfare, like something from a World War II game, but because it has this like 60s spy feel, like it felt like the end of like a James Bond film or something, where he is just pushing towards the end as this. Well, the base doesn't blow up. In fact, they're trying to make the opposite happen.
Yeah.
But it does feel like the pushing against the clock. I even like the stupid rareware thing of, oh, you have to put out fires in order
Oh
to
yeah,
open
the fire extinguisher
doors.
on that. On hard mode, the scientists start on fire, and you have to get to them before they die. Yeah, which is that's another great thing about just being they're so playful with the difficulties, and it just makes some challenges utterly absurd. That is some real imagination too. How do we make hard mode fire better? Start the thing you need to beat the stage on fire.
Yeah,
It's dying. Go.
I would say my silver medal goes to though. Sorry, it was literally on the tip of my tongue as we were talking about this, but then it slipped my mind. So it doesn't matter.
Okay.
So Snake, what is your number one? What is your
mine
top?
is Aztec 1920.
Okay. Alright.
I love the kind of pulpy adventure. That both sound like you're both surprised, and actually, I think you have fair thing because I've gone in the past how I'm not actually a massive fan of Rareware. I don't like a lot of Collect-Von stuff, which was their output when I was kind of coming up with But Aztec 1920 to me is the most Rareware kind of stage because it's all really fun and interesting puzzles. There's some bollocks to it. Like I love the wood golems that you get a crossbow, and I don't know why I intuited so quickly. Oh, there's fire sources. I got to put these on fire. Bang! I love that. I love that the monkeys that throw bombs at you.
Yep.
I love that the temple and you have to drop the stone golems. It's such a fun kind of adventure serial send up with you are going into this temple and it's room after room of puzzles and every chamber is distinct. I love how the lighting kind of goes from kind of white cold daylights to kind of yellow warmer lights as you get deeper into the temple. Like it would be so easy for it like every area to feel the same, but it's just it moves so nicely. And yeah, I just love how varied it is in what you're doing for a level.
You know what? I remembered I was going to say Notre Dame was my number 2, but no, I've changed my mind. Aztec 1920 is also my
I've
number
sold
2.
you on Aztec 1920.
Well, it's because I love how that level escalates as it goes along, and there is just so much variety
there is
begins with a maze, then becomes a puzzle, then becomes an enemy that you can't kill through conventional means, so you have to use like traps to deal with it. And then it has all these like little
and it ends with you getting a grenade launcher and you have to take out the final batch yourself, though I will give that they put the grenade launcher in such an awkward place that I did spend a good 15 minutes going, am I meant to pull them all the way back to the traps? That'd be stupid. There's got to be an explosive, and then finally finding the fucking grenade launcher.
Yep.
Which is hidden in a corner behind where they spawn, which is such a nasty little fucking placement.
It is.
Unless I missed a different grenade launcher, which isn't impossible. I can be blind.
And it's funny because I think with that level, they started spawning and I couldn't figure out there was a grenade launcher there. And because most of the TimeSplitters levels worked on, you get to a place, you get a thing, and then that's the end of the level. Because this was like, you actually have to wipe them out, I was just like, oh, did I miss the wrong way to go? And so I ended up going back around the level again, and I was like, oh, this doesn't seem right. And then I went back to the room, and actually, there was a thing here. There was a grenade launcher. So.
See, that's kind of the beautiful thing, is I'm so glad we all had different answers, because that kind of goes to show just, the raw distinction going on in this.
No, and it's funny because the level that I like the least in this,
That was my next question. I think that will be a bit more united, but we'll find out.
I guess let's quickly. So, Hammers, even though this is a really good game, what would you say in the single player is the worst level for you, or the one you don't like playing the most?
Well, I might upset you, but I was going to say the Aztec runes.
Wow. Okay.
That's fine. What about it isn't doing it for you?
I mean, I can see, after you explained it, I can see the appeal of, it really is one of the only levels that has like consistent puzzles to solve. It's not just running around and shooting stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know, just so much in that annoyed me. The monkeys that throw the watermelons at you. Like, it's just, I don't know. I think I had too many angry deaths on that level.
Yeah.
See, it's funny because I would give so many angry deaths to the next level.
The Robot Factory.
The Robot Factory.
Oh, yeah. See, that's up there too.
The Robot Factory is rough. The Robot Factory is, I wouldn't say the game's conceit of make every level different at its worst, but it is the worst stage for me. So, all right, I'm just going to list off the levels one by one, and we can kind of go through it and kind of break down the interesting points. But okay, Siberia 1990, Chicago.
Fantastic level, great level. No notes.
It does. It
Good
opens. It opens very strong. It's such a strong kind of follow on from. Hey, remember how the last game was all you grab a thing, go A to B to C? Fuck that. This is a big open stage with multiple objectives, optional objectives, and you can do them in slightly wrong order. Which I did, because the last thing I did was blow up the satellite.
Yeah, every time I replayed that level, I always forgot to blow up the satellite dish, and so I'd be like, what have I done? And the game is literally like, where you are on the dam, you just look down and see the satellite dish, and you're like, oh, for fuck's sake.
It's like every time just playing a joke on myself when I look down at the beginning of the level, it's like, oh, there it is. And I try and like volley a grenade to like hit it from up there.
And do you know what I quite like about Siberia as well, which we haven't touched on, which is, talking about the story stuff and the fact that the last game had it's strictly this, or this. This has a nice tone change. You think it's a spy action thing, and then halfway through it becomes a horror when the zombies turn up. And it's like, neat, very... And the zombies aren't annoying. They're not annoying like they are in TimeSplitters 1. It's great.
They made them far better to deal with because they weren't just bastards where you had to depend on a headshot to finish the job.
Yeah. Very cool level. It starts off as Metal Gear Solid, becomes Resident Evil for a bit, and then becomes Metal Gear Solid at the end when you fight a helicopter. So it's pretty good.
Absolutely wonderful. Then we have Chicago, 1922. And
good level. You shoot barrels at the top and they dribble a little bit.
Yeah, the water physics are just impressive to look back on. You have to keep shooting lower and lower as the level goes down.
Yeah, you have to genuinely drain them. That kind of stuff I remember always getting posted on image boards with people getting their minds blown. It's like, whoa, it drains. It drains.
It's such a small detail, but it's just impressive that they thought about that.
It was the horse testicles of its day.
Now, did either of you stop for a minute, stop in the bar, and shoot some pool? Literally shoot some pool.
I did shoot the pool balls, and I was impressed that they did have proper physics. I also shot all glassware in there because I am an MGS2 head, and I want to know if you can do that in any game. So.
I didn't shoot it, but I did put in my notes that it's balls whiskey. Very juvenile, and also probably a send up to Bell's whiskey, which is absolute balls. So
it's not good, folks.
Not good.
This podcast isn't sponsored by Bell's.
I'm sorry if I have cost us the potential. It is sponsored
by Jameson's Irish whiskey, though, unfortunately. But only this episode.
But yeah, no, I stopped for a bit and shot some pool. That was fun. I love that little incidental detail. Then we have Notre Dame 1895.
Cool. I like the level. I think it's got... No other game has done that aesthetic since, and it's a shame I would play an entire game that was like that.
I do think it's got a bit less steam behind it. I feel it's a bit more linear and I think it's a bit less memorable. I do still like it, but I think it's a bit of a, like, some of the gas was leaving the tank, because both Siberia 1990 and Chicago 22... very sprawling, very weird. Lots of, as we mentioned, lots of little weird gimmicks. Notre Dame, bit more of a straight shooter.
Do you think it might have been like a kind of a peak and trough sort of thing where they were like, okay, we've done 2 really heavy levels back to back. Let's make this. Let's go with a slightly different tone with this one. Let's just make this a bit more straightforward.
And it works. And it's not bereft of things. Like, did either of you fall into the little maiden trick the game has?
Yes, I did. It's pretty good.
Which one's that?
When one of the maidens is actually a monster, and if
Oh,
you try and
It's actually
yes.
a time
Yeah.
splitter, yeah.
yeah, and that
Absolutely.
that actually got a jump out of me. I was like, "Oh, you bastard!" So the horror atmosphere was on point, and also my first attempt, I misunderstood the thing to free the last maiden hanging in the church, which was I just thought, "Oh, I got to shoot the thing," and I somehow didn't cross my mind. She's pretty high up. That's probably not a wise idea. Can't do it.
I did exactly the same
I
thing.
did the same thing too.
Yeah, we all did that big crack
I
sound.
think
Like,
it's purposely put there.
yeah, it's a good trap. I think this level does play on the player quite a bit. And I love the hunchback running out and just blasting zombies with you. It's
Oh yeah,
like,
he just has a giant shotgun. Just an anachronistic giant silver shotgun. It's pretty good.
I adore that so much. I love how like nonchalant it is that you just do this and the hunchback waddles in, just does a shooting section with you, just absolutely murks some zombies. He's got great aim. I don't even think I contributed to that part. He just cleaned house and then just left. Do have a mild note. I've got to drop this game down to a 2 out of 10 because Hunchback of Notre Dame takes place in 1482. He'd be 400 years old, so it's actually not a good game in the slightest.
What if it's a different? They could have had more than one. Maybe it was a job title. Maybe it wasn't a thing. Maybe it was hey, if you got a hunchback,
if you got a hunchback, come down to the church.
Do you live in France? Do you have a hunchback? Have we got a job for you?
All right, all's forgiven.
There we go.
Oh god, the hunchbacks are going to be out of work since Notre Dame burned down.
Oh, I mean, they've moved on to other bell ringing opportunities.
Yeah,
You can do that. You can do it from home now. You just, you set up a laptop and, just hit a button and bam, easy as that.
there you go. I've got a hunch things will work out for them. Sorry, I don't have much to back up that joke. I don't have the spine to do another.
Stop.
Oh my god.
What's the next level?
I'm going to end this podcast with everyone.
Please stop.
I can't work scoliosis into anything. All right, let's move on. So, Return to Planet X 2280, which drops it drops a joke that I really liked in the first game, that all the sci-fi levels were absurdly close to the modern day.
Yeah, and I like the fact that it's like those the closest to the modern days, and then the ones that are in the furthest future are the ones that feel like they should be nearest to modern day.
It's very amusing. Like, so in the first game, Planet X was 2030, I want to say.
2020.
Maybe that was Spaceways. Oh, okay. 2020 Spaceways was like 2030, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the Cyber Den was like 2005. It was a really fun joke. But yeah, now it's 2280, proper into the future. I had a lot of fun with this stage, though I got lost.
I'm going to say, if it wasn't for the difficulty of the Robot Factory, this would be my least favorite level because it's so...
It's labyrinthine. It's labyrinthine, and here's a way it fails in a way Aztec doesn't, which Aztec could have had all the chambers look the same. Return to Planet X, a lot of the canyons do, so it's very easy to
and there's
get
a lot of
turned
bits,
around.
especially with the beaches, where it feels like a riff on Halo, but like they taking the piss out of Halo, where look at how big this area is. It's like, great, thanks.
I do like having two fighting enemy factions. I think that keeps I
like that touch.
It's a cool beat. It keeps things distinct. It gives the level its own little bit of identity. And I don't believe the calamari men are in the next game, because I think the next game gets a little bit too serious to have a big calamari monster in the campaign.
They also, they only really have a handful of levels in there, and in fairness, they go back to them quite a few times. Although it is funny that there is continuity across all of the games, which I guess we'll get into with the third one. But yeah, like Captain Ash appears in all of them, and then like the robots from the Robot Factory. You go back to the you go back to the Robot Factory in the third one. It's great.
I have another question, which... Did either of you begin the stage by trying to shoot down the flying saucers and just completely tank your ammo?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's possible to do. It just wastes a lot of ammo.
It's possible to bring one down. You will just not have enough ammo to bring a second one down. You kind of have to learn you kind of have to learn. Oh, okay, I meant to ignore those.
They're set dressing. They're not enemies that will then fly after you afterwards. So.
And oh, sorry.
Oh no! I was just gonna say, yeah. Planet X. Yeah, that's my review of it. Yeah.
Did
you guys like the energy weapons? I found I
do
wasn't a
I
fan
do
of
like
them.
the energy weapons. Oh, actually, hang on. There is a. I'm not sure if I should bring this up now or later about Return to Planet X. Okay, sod it. I'll bring this
go
up
ahead.
now. I'll bring it
what
up
is it?
now because it will be more relevant when we get to talking about multiplayer. But so I played this game a lot with my mate James, and he really liked the song Return to Planet X. So every custom map I made had to have the song Return to Planet X. So I like the song, but I am also so utterly sick of Planet X.
Isn't the tune from Return to Planet X just like a mixture of like a military theme, but then it has like a big like sci-fi theremin in it?
I believe so. No. I believe that's the original Planet X. This one is not like a theremin. This is kind of like a more techno-y kind of drum and bassy track.
That's true.
And he was a real big techno guy and a real big he got really into that as we both became teenagers. So I think that song was just the fucking birth of him being into that shit.
I just like the idea of him being like really into the Chemical Brothers, but then rather than when you play multiplayer, you put your own music on instead. He's like, no, you have to pick the most Chemical Brothers sounding track for the multiplayer map.
So that's I think my weird bit of nostalgia of Return to Planet X as well is like that song just had to be burned onto every level I made. I made a lot of levels, but we'll get to that.
You mentioned the energy weapons, though. I don't particularly like them, but I wonder whether that's just negative association with the levels that the energy weapons are in.
I was trying to think. I don't really know why I dislike them so much. They just don't feel quite as good as every other weapon.
I like one of them, and it's the only one you'll bother using, which is the rifle.
Yeah.
That one's okay.
Just copied Halo.
Pistol, we'll get to the fucking pistol.
Yeah.
The laser rifle is this game's rhythm and pace does not really match a charge weapon. And the shield ability is... I don't know. I watched videos of people playing the game and they seem to be making use of it. I have no idea if they were just trying to look at this tech. But yeah.
they were doing TimeSplitters combo mads, were they?
Oh yeah.
Tech videos.
So next up, and this one is funny actually. I'm very surprised in a way, though. I think maybe having actually beaten it gets a lot less. This is the infamous one, Neo Tokyo 2019.
I just like this one from a style point of view. Yeah. It's weird that every single level in this game is that, especially with Notre Dame and this, and not so much the whole of Robot Factory, but the character you play in Robot Factory. I would want to play whole games starring these characters because it's I kind of want to know more about them. And Neo Tokyo feels this would be the best PS2 era, well maybe or even kind of really early PS2 era Ubisoft FPS third-person shootery style game where very kind of Luc Besson inspired, rainy sort of cyberpunk looking city sort of thing, but it has some interesting stealth elements to it. But those things don't play super well with what you've been doing in TimeSplitters so far.
That's kind of the thing about it. This is where the game being so distinctive each level, I feel goes a little bit pear-shaped because you start with a giant, I think it's about 2-3 minutes long trailing section, and it's very loose. I think what helped me was learning that it doesn't actually matter how far away your quarry gets from you, so long as you get to a certain point at a certain time.
Mm-hmm.
So you can just let her wander off ahead and go to the shops. You actually got to run through a glass window and smash it open. You can get some better weapons really early on.
Yep.
And this actually brings me, you get a little computer tool which has a mini map and kind of shows you enemy sight lines and cameras and such. And that's a really nice little addition. That
Yeah.
really helps here. And you can. Did either of you two find any of the mini games for it?
I didn't actually, and I knew that this game did have it, but I never had much luck finding them.
You can get a really good version of Snake in the first level, and I think as a child, I played that like little version of Snake a chunk. It was
pretty good.
A lot of fun. Though I never found the other two, and I didn't find them this run through either, which maybe a bit of a loss because I probably could have talked more about them. But yeah,
It is funny though, because I quite like the time device because it feels like they've just made like the mini map from Doom diegetic, but it's, well, you can have the mini map or you can shoot, but you can't have both. And it's like, that's fine, because the only time I ever want to check a map is usually when I've shot everybody anyways, and I don't really know where to go. So that's fine by me. And
you can't really
I don't know,
mix
that
and
also
match
goes into
dual
the theory that you mentioned of Cortez is obviously jumping into these people's bodies. Is it really Cortez or what's happening? But then they all have the little time controllers.
You know what? That's a fair point. Yeah, that has to be Cortez. I wonder if these people kind of wake up the next day and just think, "Jesus, what did I do last night?
Why have I got this elaborate Game Boy Advance SP on me?"
Oh, he leaves that behind for them. That's like a parting gift. He's like, "Sorry for last night. Have this mini map."
Yeah, sorry, guy from Chicago, but I killed this mob boss for you. I know you
were
had a feeling that you
excited.
wanted that to happen, though.
I made sure you sounded really cool on the way over.
I wrote a really good monologue for you while I was traveling through the slip space of time.
So yeah, but the tailing section. That wasn't even the worst part for me. The worst part was, and I didn't look up I didn't look up a guide until I had to, the CCTV camera puzzle, because you don't really ever use CCTV in this way. And basically, you're following this hacker. She goes into her little den, and she goes into a back room, and she enters a password on a computer. And the tricky part about this puzzle is that you kind of have to, not even failing it really gives you a clue on how it works.
Yeah.
Like, either you kind of get caught and she shoots and doesn't go to the computer, or you do it too late and the computer looks completely nonchalant. You just kind of have to work out, like, oh, there's this security camera that's pointed at a computer. It's just, I don't know. Maybe I'm a dummy. It just felt like a very
It doesn't feel very
constructed-
TimeSplitters-y, which is weird because they do, because the CCTV is in a couple of levels, like, because you didn't know about this until I sent you a clip, but in the Siberia level, you can use
a guy with
use a gun turret to shoot a guy, which is like a kind of a nice little thing. And they do come back as well in.
I did use them in Robot Factory because you really have to. It's part of the
puzzle.
Yeah. So I got it then, but that's after Neo Tokyo. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's Second Sight also has a level like this, and I feel it's kind of a thing that I think follows Free Radical a lot. Is they are very, very good at puzzles, but sometimes they kind of miss the cue to set up and ingrain an idea.
Yeah, it's not quite. Yeah, they don't. Yeah, they don't quite give the players like an overview of here's what you. This is the thing that you have to kind of play with in order to open the way ahead. Because Second Sight does have that issue quite a bit. Weirdly, because we covered it on another episode of the podcast, Geist does have similar kind of psychic puzzles like that, but they are set up very well, and I do kind of wonder whether that's like the Rare under Nintendo, Rare on their own difference, where they just kind of miss those little things.
Those little quality of life things. I think it's looking at it like in a charitable sense, I think it's that they got that the player would be that we're playing the Cyberpunk mission now. This is about stealth, so the player will conform to the challenge.
Yeah.
Because every level kind of has you play in a little bit of a different way in that regard.
That's what I figured. It's just they're playing into the trope of the theme that they went in.
Yeah, exactly. So you figure, oh, we're trailing a hacker, so I've got to think like someone trailing a hacker, and it's just the player, it maybe doesn't communicate that cue. Did you have trouble with the puzzles, Hammer, or did you kind of like follow what was being put down?
I don't think I had too much trouble with that level.
Okay.
No, yeah, not that I can remember. It wasn't my favorite. I really liked the whole theme of the level. It's pretty much
Yeah.
like Blade Runner, but the gameplay on that level, I don't know, probably one of the worst.
Yeah,
But I like the theme a lot.
It's
Yeah.
rough.
It is the shame of them trying to like push the potential of what they can really achieve in the engine, and it was kind of the John Romero or not the John Carmack thing with Doom, where it's like when you just focus on what the engine is good at, because when it is like those tight GoldenEye style levels, like this game really like just shines in all directions. But it is like with Robot Factory and stuff like that, where it gets a little bit awkward, and it's like I don't know. But I'll say for the folks at home though, all these levels are still 7. The 7 out of 10s are above. Nothing is really bad.
Nothing's absolutely god awful. Well, actually, I would say I've literally got in my notes Robot Factory god awful stage. so I guess I would call that one god awful. I did earlier today.
Robot Factory is like a really burnt pizza, but like some bits are still edible. So like as long as you have those bits, it's okay.
I'm trying to think what else. Neo Tokyo does have like one thing that I find really interesting. So the latter half is you kind of find some experiments on TimeSplitters going on in the back, and you nab that stuff and you bugger off. That puzzle, it's funny that I genuinely am starting to think I was a damn moron, because that as well, like I was just wandering back and forth, like, what do I do? And it took me so long to realize to shoot it after all that. I don't know why. Now I got primed in one direction and unprimed myself. So, I don't know. That level, yeah, interesting. And also, one of the only stages where you can get like unlimited full heals, which is very odd. I think it's unlimited.
Yeah,
There is a little kind of medicine shop secreted away in a tiny little alley somewhere on the level where a guy will patch you up. It's just so weird and out of the way. And again, I kind of love it. It just gives this sense that this is its own little world.
No, absolutely. That's something that we haven't really touched on, although it doesn't matter too much. None of the levels are meant to have health. Well, I say they're not meant to.
They've got armor pickups, but refreshing your health is a lot trickier. It's a rare resource.
Mm-hmm. Like compared to one where it was sort of you pick up health to just keep going. This is a bit more. Not like you have to play more methodically, because there are like moments of catharsis.
I do think there's still that element of replayability where you kind of go through and you learn what resources to save for later. There's like a kind of overarching strategy to, can I afford to grab this now?
Yeah, like they could almost kind of this is kind of arcadey in regards to, okay, you've beaten the level once, now do all the objectives. Now do all the objectives without losing any health or something like that, which is quite nice for replayability's sake.
I do think actually, just kind of on that note of like the arcadiness, I do think actually there is something this game does lose from TimeSplitters 1. I mentioned it early on that this game feels a little bit slowed down. It's a little bit slower than TimeSplitters 1. And I described the TimeSplitters 1 that it's a very good kind of action movie set piece simulator, whereas this feels more like whole damn scenes or like whole segments of a movie.
This is the movie that like TimeSplitters 1 was cutting sections out of. And
I think like for just a quick slice of actions, in some regards, TimeSplitters 1 feels a lot more like blood pumping, like fast action, bang, go into it. This is a bit slower, and overall I like that more, but sometimes, it's actually a nice thing that pick or choose, like TimeSplitters 1 still has this little edge to it that this one kind of puts aside.
And I wish that there was at least one level in this that did the TimeSplitters 1 thing of Wario Land 4, where you go to A to B and get the thing, but then you have to go from B to A. And that's suddenly made way more dangerous because the TimeSplitters appear.
It's funny because that is still in the game, kind of. Not quite the same speed, but in the challenge mode, there is the TimeSplitters Campaign Classic, which is just a series of grab thing, get out missions. So you've got a tiny little sliver of the old game kind of tucked away. And I do love that on game 2, this is TimeSplitters Classic.
Yeah.
That's very quick, but you know what? Not wrong to say classic. You've earned that confidence.
Oh, absolutely. So what's after Cyber 10?
This is actually one that... This is like, I think, the most middle of the road stage to me. I love the tone, I love the music. Wild West 1853.
Oh, yeah.
This one, I don't know.
it's okay.
That's yeah.
I
Do
mean,
a
Hammers,
jailbreak
you-
set piece, then you go to a quarry and you do a kind of OK Corral shootout. And
Yeah.
You've covered the Rockstar like games, and you've covered like Red Dead and stuff. Where do you think this falls within like the Cool Juarez as well?
Yeah.
Where does this kind of fall within the remit of cowboy FPS games, even if it is just a single level of an otherwise larger game's campaign?
I mean, it doesn't really feel like a Western game to me.
No.
It feels just like an arcade shooter in a Western level, you know? I don't
yeah,
know.
no, I feel you. It's like the weapons don't have the kind of imperfections. It's not all
Yeah.
the way there. It is just a reskinned handgun.
I felt in this level, I was just like peeking and shooting for most of the level. Like, it's
I was
a
doing a lot
different
of
type of gameplay.
I was doing a lot of slicing the pie, which feels. It doesn't feel like it. Well,
I
it's
have
funny because we
introduced that
mentioned this
term
in
into
the
your lexicon.
no, and it's funny because I mentioned that on the Outlaws episode, which was also I was doing a lot of because like John Romero was like, oh, it's one of my favorite games of all time because it's like Rainbow Six, and it's like that feels like that's an odd fit for a Western game where you just imagine it's somebody just like walking around spinning their 6-shooters and blowing guys out of saloon windows.
Yeah.
But
Maybe
it's
one
weird
of the
that-
weaknesses of this approach that
Yeah.
the shooting it's a good kind of base, but it's not a specialized sort
No,
of thing.
you quickly realize that there's a pistol archetype, a shotgun archetype, like an assault rifle archetype, and they just kind of change the skins on them. Well,
Yeah,
I'm not,
they all kind of function the same.
Yeah. It's like, it's no I mean it was never gonna be in very unfair comparison to Years Apart, but like Call of Juarez Gunslinger, that's a fucking Western shooter.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
It's aggressive and you're gunslinging and you got the duels and it's all really, really nice. This is, a fair enough. I mean, this isn't even really a Dead Man's Hand, and that is not a good game, Dead Man's Hand.
I mean, it's not even really an Outlaws, which
Yeah.
is like you're all about like saving bullets, and weapons kind of have like realistic drop off to them as well.
So yeah, it's a fine level. It's probably the most kind of like that was okay. Like this isn't a replayer because it's basically 2 set pieces back to back with really kind of nothing. The fact this level has a boss fight doesn't even really register because it's just a guy with more health, and that feels so. I mean, that feels antithetical to the Western thing where it's like dead eyes and great aim and you die in one shot, the duel and whatever. And this is. I genuinely punched half of his health out to see if I could get away with it through hit stun.
What I kind of wish this had, which I wish that the Chicago one kind of plays with a little bit, is the energy, the time crystals sort of factor into the plot a tiny bit. Like in the Chicago level, isn't the time crystal something that he has where it's like, oh, this is one of my finest gems kind of thing. And then the Western level sort of plays with that a tiny bit. Like it's the big boss that has the crystal. I know with Dr. Carlos in Atom Smasher that is the case, is that he's using the crystal to power something, but I don't know. It feels like if you're gonna have a boss, why don't they use the time crystal to I don't know.
Teleport.
I don't know if the mobster thought it was a special crystal. I think didn't he steal a whole shipment of
That was
gemstones or something? I don't know if he knew it was special.
Yeah, no, I think he was just
something
nice gem.
I didn't even really mentally note that it because that could have actually been a thing, is the time crystals falling into the hands of all these weirdos throughout history, but that doesn't really get explored.
Damn,
This is
2 out of
beyond,
10 game. If I was on the staff, I would have been like, look, guys, this needs to give them lightning powers. Maybe in one level makes a character really large. That'd be good.
The sliding scale of the score as we go through the game is pretty impressive.
It's still an 11 out of 10 game, though, which hopefully we'll land on at the end. But
I'm just pointing out little bits here and there. It's a great game with a lot of little imperfections that don't ruin it, but you just stick out once in a while.
Perfect games are boring. Games without flaws, there's nothing interesting about.
You need the flaws. That's true.
Exactly. It gives them character.
Sandpaper only works because it's rough.
Exactly. There we go. Put that on my headstone. That's a good quote right there.
That is a good quote. I like that.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, I should work for the BBC.
If you work at the BBC and listen to this podcast, which hopefully you do,
I'll push it. I'll get us on the iPlayer.
oh, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be on the BBC Sounds app.
People going, what the fuck is this?
So it is Atom Smasher after
It
Wild
is
West.
Atom Smasher. Yeah, I had one last thing to say about Wild West,
Go
but
ahead.
I've forgotten it, much like the stage. So let's move on to.
I wish the
Atom
minecart. I
Smasher.
wish I had an actual minecart section.
Oh,
That's
be
my
good.
last.
That'd be a
thing.
good Donkey Kong throwback.
It would have been.
That would have
and-
redeemed it, yeah.
Yeah,
And
Nice
I've done it.
minecart.
And then the RE4 minecart section would have happened, and much like the guy Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails, they would have said it's yours now.
All right. Atom Smasher 1972. So, spy fiction level. It's funny actually as well. Everything else is very descriptive, and then Atom Smasher is such a vague, like it's a place name. So
Pretty much, yeah. And
Yeah,
it's
it
not.
stands
It's not
out
even
for
like a
that.
proper nuclear. Well, I guess it must be a.
it's
nuclear
an
facility.
evil layer. Like
Yeah.
it's your James Bond Austin Powers evil layer, which yeah. I love the way the level begins. I love Harry Tipper, voiced by Doug Cockle.
Oh,
Which-
what other voices has he
He
done?
plays Geralt of Rivia. Geralt of Rivia.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. He's got. It's funny actually because I went for his IMDb afterwards, and he has very good range, which I mean, a lot of voice actors do. But I've heard him only ever do the Geralt voice in a few roles. Like he played the vampire guy in Dark, whose name I can't remember, and he's just doing the Geralt voice. But then no, if you just listen casually, you would not hear Harry Tipper and go, that's Geralt. But
I was going to say, is he also Tipper in Future Perfect as well?
I believe I believe his voice changes for Future Perfect, which is a shame. God, he had a very interesting role. Oh, he did have an interesting role, and I've literally just realized it's only interesting to me.
Well, go ahead. There may be fans of Jank.
He plays the sheriff in a game called Twin Caliber, which I am sure only I have played.
Is
I've never even heard of it.
Is Twin Caliber an FPS game?
It's a shooter. Twin Caliber is a B-movie horror pastiche. It's a terrible game, but I love it. What the gimmick is it's an on-rail shooter, and each analog stick controls your character's arms individually.
Oh, I think
Oh
you've
my
mentioned this
gosh.
before.
Yeah, I've told you about it. It didn't come out in America. It's PAL only, which, considering how American this game feels, is like it's a deprivation to America. This didn't travel, but it's a crap game.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about it. So you'd think, okay, so it's an on-rail shooter. It's third person, and each stick controls each arm. Okay, I can kind of see what you're going for here, trick shot thing. But then the game can't resist having cinematic dynamic cameras which spin around and make it impossible to fucking aim for most of the levels. So it's like, the way I put it on a video the other day, is that it's like the presentation is fighting the gameplay and the player is losing, because
It's like Alien versus Predator. Whoever wins, we lose.
pretty much,
You're
yeah.
selling me very hard on playing this game.
I would recommend it. I think it would be a very good fit for your channel. It's very niche. It's very obscure. It's very mid 2000s
It
kind of
sounds amazing.
grim. If you can get someone to co-op it with, because it is a co-op shooter with friendly fire, very fun.
Ooh.
But I've never been able to convince a friend to play Twin Caliber with me for an extended period of time.
Maybe we could do it for the podcast. That might be because we were talking about doing 187 Ride or Die.
Oh, that's
my
true. Yeah.
gosh.
187 Ride or Die would be a very good fit. But yeah, we'll have to see about that. It's definitely worth a download on a site of your choosing. To put it on a PS2 emulator.
Atom Smasher, though, fantastic, favorite level. I love the fact that, and I keep forgetting to mention this as well, is that like, you know, it's a cool level. All the henchmen, you got men and women, and they're all wearing like the same clothes. All the levels, all the henchmen, and they're all men and women. It's great. It's got like a really good amount of like character variety
Oh, yeah,
throughout.
no.
They do quite a lot.
It has I think I looked up the figure earlier on. I believe it's 162 playable characters.
Wow. Jeez.
128. My bad.
That's still a lot.
That's over. It's still a lot.
Yeah.
It's still a good amount. And unlike TimeSplitters 1, they have individual stats now, in like speed and hardiness. And
Interesting.
I think they have accuracy. I can't remember what the third stat is off the top of my head, but no, you can play a big burly bastard or someone a little bit more live and quick. And oh boy, I'll get to that when we fucking talk about the arcade league.
Yeah.
Arcade League, a nightmare. But yeah, Atom Smasher, I love the opening of the stage. I love that the first thing you have to do is like dodge a laser and then get out of the room, and the timer's already and the timer is already going. I love dodging the laser. I love doing that. And then you have to punch a guard and get a gun. And it's what I love about the levels so much is that it genuinely feels like the end of one of these movies where you are, your lowest point and you come back from the brink.
It feels like the end of like Austin Powers. This one's like you get a weapon and then you get another weapon, but like the stakes just keep like rise. Like it feels like it should be the end of another like the end of a film or the end of another game. It's really fun. It's so good.
It's just a very nice. It just opens in a different way. Again, it's just so much variety. So good.
And again, it has the silliness of having to use a fire extinguisher to put out fires as you go along.
And I mean,
did you beat this level on hard, or did you just attempt it?
I didn't beat it on hard. I only attempted it.
I did not beat it on hard.
Okay, it seems impossible.
Really? Okay.
Well, I didn't beat it, but
okay, we all took the punt and like got humbled by Atom Smasher.
I gave it about 10 goes, and I was like, okay.
I'm proud of myself for like getting all golds, even up to like partway through the Elite League, but I didn't try hard.
No.
Oh god, I'll get to that, but yeah.
We've talked about because Aztec's South.
Yeah, I feel like we can skip Aztec because I kind of prided that stage. Unless I don't think there's anything more to mention. So on that one, Robot Factory 2315.
The only good thing about that level is the character that you play as, and you only see them in the beginning.
And another mention of my mate James, that was the character they always played as in multiplayer.
They were on the cover, and this was something I was going to mention earlier when we were talking about the cover art, which is that the cover art, at least the PAL, because the US version of this cover art is awful. I
haven't seen this.
It looks like the cover to the New Radicals You Get What You Give, where it's just a bald guy in front of like a sparkly background. but the PAL one, which I think has gone on to be like iconic, is they hired it wasn't the team that hired it. I mean, it was IDOS who did all the promotional stuff. Hired a comic book artist called Dan Boltwood, who had done like a bunch of like underground zine comics like in the 90s, but like he has like a really interesting particular art style, but he kind of applied that to the look of the characters in TimeSplitters, and so I just think that cover looks like really neat. And
it's really good. Like it's really good pop art, and like it's really nicely shaded. All the characters are distinct.
And they kind of match it in the game, and I almost wonder if they ever made another TimeSplitters, because 3 kind of aims more towards as realistic as it can. It sort of looks just like a slightly jazzy version of Second Sight. But if they ever did a 4th one, I would love it if it kind of leaned more, maybe in the direction of that art, like promotional art stuff.
Yeah, it all leaves an impression. It's all very striking.
Yeah. But yeah, I mentioned
I'm not good at describing art. That's where I struggle. But I am also very taken with, the US cover for TimeSplitters 2. That's rough.
It is so bad. What is it with US cover art, sir? You have the Japanese version of Eco where it looks like, this beautiful little...
I think it's very condescending and patronizing marketing men who have...
Yeah, because the American box art for Eco
is
awful.
Yeah.
They've got better, though.
America's got terrible cover art, especially from this time period. Like the 2000s. It's all just like action movie, I don't know, but not even good. Because I feel
think they were just leaning on, this guy looks a bit like Vin Diesel, so have him with a big gun.
It's probably exactly what they were going for.
People want to play as this guy, and hopefully this guy doesn't jump into the bodies of other guys. We always play as this guy. Oh no.
Oh, if this guy jumped into the body of other guys, this would be banned everywhere.
No. Robot Factory, though.
Time to split would have a whole new meaning.
Oh my gosh.
God.
Sorry for saying that. That was
Time to split.
Which is such a weird catchphrase because it barely comes up in this game, and then
It's my favorite catchphrase. I'm looking forward to talking about it.
Well, it's just a joke in the next game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay, that's the obvious. It's like he
It's
says it with
perfect.
earnestness, but because there's so little character, he says it, and it's like, okay, but then in the next game, everyone looks at him like he's ridiculous because of the tone change. But the catchphrase has had no time to land whatsoever.
Yeah.
But yeah, Robot Factory 2315. We'll quickly sum up this stage as every single enemy in this game in this level is a bullet sponge. You're packed into tight quarters with them, and the gun you're going to use the most to conserve ammo has bullets which fucking bounce. It's you will do more. I did more damage to myself than the enemies did.
If we did like bad shooter bingo, this hits like nearly. You would nearly get a full house on this because bullet sponge enemies really tight quarters. Has a really not fun, two really not fun gimmicks in it, I would say as well. One being, the gun that you need to conserve. Well, there's two guns you need to conserve ammo
I mean,
for.
basically, the reason you have to conserve ammo is you play through the stage kind of casually and you think, and then it ends with a giant kind of wave segment. And if you've been liberal with your ammo, which you're going to be because all the enemies are bullet sponges, you realize there is a room full of robots with rocket launchers right there. I have a pea shooter. I'm cooked. I'm done. So basically you replay it and you learn, okay, I'm gonna conserve this. And this level does have neat things. The more basic robots, the chassis bots, you can stun them with the electro tool, which makes them easier to kill. Which that's a nice little touch. That's again like just a neat little consideration, and that did make me getting through it easier. Then you also have sneaky bastard enemies, which, like, those cameras which kind of skirt overhead on the conveyors.
Yeah,
You could just sneak off a few shots on you.
Yeah, not a fan of those.
Bastards.
It has
then you
my
have-
most hated enemy, which is the turrets that are actually tanks.
Yeah, no, they're just not fun to fight.
Nope.
They take so long to kill, and it's just, oh god, all this ammo is going away.
No, and there's no like fun way of dealing with them. Like
No,
you'd
there's no
feel like in a
gimmick to
game,
them.
Maybe they'd have a weak spot on the back or something, or you could still exploit their sort of like turret style nature by like running behind them. No, they're just spongy. They suck.
I mean, it's funny as well because it's like the turret enemies suck by themselves, so it's always a nasty surprise when it's like, oh, I'm going to be fighting you for like a minute, huh?
Yeah.
It goes from, oh boy, I sure hate fighting you, into, oh boy, I sure fucking hate fighting you. Just,
And then it has
not a great level. It's
and it ends with a final boss, which is just shooting a big organ, just a big.
It's, I hate to do the thing. It's Bed of Chaos. It just reminds me of that shit.
It is like the Bed of Chaos boss fight from the hit video game Dark Souls by.
I hate shallow Dark Souls pulls, but it was in my fucking brain.
Yeah,
It was just there.
But do you know what though? At least in Dark Souls, if you die, they just put you right to the beginning of the Bed of Chaos fight. You die there, and you fucks.
Right,
You have to do the level again.
Are there any checkpoints in this, or is it just you got to do it in one? 'Cause I
No,
swear
so every level has a midway checkpoint, and I'm
Okay.
trying to remember where it is in Robot Factory. I think it's when you go to the area which
of course
looks like
it
the
does. I
submarine
fucking thought
area
so.
from
Yeah.
Mario 64. I can't actually remember what it looks like, but that's what it made me think.
I think it's funny as well because I recorded my whole playthrough because I could refer back to it and make my notes and all that. And every other level is like done in one, like, you know, in my files like TS2 001 level 1, and then I have some like the level and some basic thoughts written down there to help me remember. And then it gets to Robot Factory and it's Robot Factory Attempt 1, Robot Factory Attempt 2. And there's like multiple deaths in each of them because I just got tired of playing Robot Factory. And I was like, I'm going to take a breather and come back.
It's fair
And
enough.
yeah, it's a rough one.
Would you say it's rougher than the final level of the game?
Absolutely. I think I knocked that
Yeah.
one out on my second life.
Yeah, I think it took me. I think I spent too long on the turret section where you're shooting down the planes.
Yeah, once
Well,
I learned to rush, then I just booked it and like you can knock that stage out. Final level, Space Station 2401. How do we all feel about the 2401?
I don't mind it. I think it's weird that it's like the only other level in the game that does have a time countdown in it, which in a game called TimeSplitters, you think they would have done more with that, but it's okay. I mean, it is like, I don't know, it reminds me a little bit of the final level of Donkey Kong 64, where it's just like, well, you're against the clock here, but we're going to make you do like a variety of bullshit. Like, you have to leave and shoot down some spaceships for a minute. Oh, now you need to go here and do this. And it's like, oh,
Yeah,
come on.
some
Against the
light
clock
puzzly
here.
elements that are only really a threat on the first time through, and then when you know
Yeah.
everything is, you just run and you do it, and the time limit is a lot more lenient. So it feels kind of I'd put it as kind of anticlimactic because, I mean, granted, because the story hasn't really, built up. It's just kind of like, spoilers, Heart dies. Cortez is
character
like,
that
well,
you
I've got
didn't
all.
get to know.
Yeah, Cortez is just like, all right, well, I got all the crystals. I'm sad, but I'm fucking off now. And you leave, and it's like, well, humanity has a chance.
Yeah, that's it. Congratulations.
Congratulations, you done did it. You split time, and then it just kind of ends. And
It's funny though, because it's not like the Halo 2 ending, even though the third game picks up literally. It just picks up after TimeSplitters 2. When TimeSplitters 2 ends is where TimeSplitters 3 begins. But
yeah, and
the ending,
I mean,
I don't know.
I'd have
the
liked this
ending's-
game maybe more if it ended with Cortez like shooting up an airport to get his duty free. Like,
Oh, like TimeSplitters 1, yeah. that'd be good.
I think that would have been maybe a bit more climactic because I don't know. It's just like, all right, it's over now. We've done all the levels. Bye. Off you.
That's how
Go play multiplayer now. That's going to take the next 2 years of your life.
True. Speaking of which, the multiplayer. Let's talk about arcade modes.
Okay. All right. So
You put the most time into this. I gave the arcade mode a little bit of a go, but it wasn't. Really enjoyed the campaign. I enjoyed multiplayer with bots, and I enjoyed the map maker. The arcade mode I didn't put a ton of time into, but I appreciated its inclusion. That is my short review of the arcade mode.
Hammers, how do you feel on arcade league, arcade mode?
I didn't actually play any of the arcade. I think I looked up a few of the modes. Is that the one where there's like funny levels with monkeys,
Yeah,
like they're
basically.
running across and you shoot watermelons out of the monkey's hands or something?
That's
right.
Yeah, that would be a
Yeah.
very rare one. That might be a challenge mode. I can't remember. But basically, what
Okay.
Arcade League is, they are a series of kind of as it is arcade. What you could play in multiplayer, but challenges. So it could be like get 20 kills and you have a gold trophy, a silver trophy, and a bronze trophy, and these start off okay. And then they get absurdly hard. Like, I was giving half an hour to kind of, like, get one gold medal.
Oh, man.
And I got to Elite League, and I got partway, and then I got to, I believe it, if you're playing it, they got to the one called Dual Meaning, which is a series of challenges where every single one is a pun and also a one-on-one duel. That is the charm I like of Arcade League, is I think all the game's comedic writing is in here. Like, all the mission descriptions are funny. It has, like, pastiches of other games in there. It's all just little jokes and bits of levity. And you kind of need that, because as you get into the game's harder mode, it becomes fucking infuriating. Like,
Oh god!
downright.
So what was the worst challenge like that you
Okay,
faced in
so
arcade mode?
the worst challenge, I think, was it's in the Chicago level, and it's you versus there's actually two of those kinds of things. It's you versus a team of 5 AI bots who are handymen, which is they are men with giant heads for hands. I quite like him. I like because when you pick him, he goes, "I'm the handyman. Pick me. I'm quite handy." And it's
Oh my god!
and it's just you do not
That's
even
amazing.
fit in this game in any way. But all right, get in. But so they all have more health than you. They're all scarily accurate. They don't flinch all the time when you shoot them, and because there's 5 of them roaming the map, you could just be fucked. If you have anything less than dual Tommy guns, you're not winning. If they don't roam the map in the area you want them to, you're not winning. It got to the point where I would start, and if I was in the wrong spawn location, I would just hit reset instantly because I was not getting the gold.
Sure.
And that's kind of... Arcade League begins, and what's great about Arcade League is, besides just having all these challenges and giving more meat to the single-player experience, it's the game kind of telling you, hey, here's all the fun stuff you could do in multiplayer with your friends. It's showing off the modularity, and this game has 16 modes. And when you're starting and you're playing Arcade League and you're getting the goals, it's like, hey, here's a new multiplayer mode, here's a new map, here's new skins. And I was becoming a fucking boomer because I was like,
Yeah,
games should be
here's,
like this.
I was going to say, I was wondering if we were going to say this to the end, because, like, to put a cap on...
I
like,
have to do
talking
it
about
now.
all-
I had to do it now while we're on Arcade
Yeah, we
League,
had
because
to do
that's
it
the
now.
bulk,
That's
That's
fine.
the bulk of the unlocks.
Yeah. Yeah, this game is... They would make a game like TimeSplitters 2 today, and I don't mean this in regards to they wouldn't make games for people with hands for heads in it because of, like, I don't know, offending people or whatever. More so in the fact of this game has got... for what would have been a £40, $60 price tag back in 2002, you got so much stuff in this game.
You've
And
got
not only that,
so
but it's
much.
it's so polished and so, like, punching above its weight. It would be like buying Titanfall 2 and getting that campaign and all of his multiplayer stuff, but it also came with, like, it just came with an entire other game stapled onto it as well. It's like, oh, okay, cool, thanks.
And it did keep me playing Arcade League longer than I probably would have done, because the challenges were getting infuriating to the point where when I beat them, it wasn't like, hey, I did it, I've proved my skill. It's like, thank God the bots lined up in the right way this time. That took half a goddamn hour to play as I needed it to. But yeah, it's like, hey, you've unlocked Capture the Bag, you've unlocked Bag Tag, you've unlocked this map, you've unlocked the Shrink Mode, Regeneration, Leech, Assault, Flame Tag, Virus, Vampire, Gladiator, Thief Zones, and Monkey Assistant.
Jeez.
So, like, they're, okay, a lot of them are deathmatch variants, but
Yeah.
they're so fun. It's funny as well how kind of, at times, prescient it feels like. The mode Regeneration. Do you want to know what the mode of Regeneration is?
What is it, regenerating health? Or...
Yeah, it's deathmatch with regenerating health. It's like, huh, yeah, okay.
it's Call of
That's,
Duty multiplayer. Neat.
That's basically, yeah, it was a little bit ahead of its time there, and it's just a side mode. It has no fanfare. I don't even think they really thought, like, in the Arcade League, there is just a section of, like, regeneration challenges, but it just kind of plays like a deathmatch, but you don't have to go looking for health packs or armor or whatever. Monkey Assistant is really dumb but really great, which is the player in last place has a team of monkeys following them around who will help, which is just a lot of fun.
It's like getting the
Gladiator
blue shell in
is-
Mario Kart.
Yeah, basically. Gladiator is, it's deathmatch, but with stocks, so everyone has a certain amount of lives rather than thing. It's elimination, basically.
Yeah.
Shrink is great. It's basically the further back you are down the leaderboard, the smaller you get.
Oh, it's a bit like Morphe's Law, if you remember that game, where it was like if you shoot people, they got larger or smaller. I can't remember.
I think it was the biggest player was the one in the lead, and that was kind of an obvious disadvantage because you stand out, and this has that. And God, it's very interesting. Leech is, again, it's just kind of like regeneration. You get health back by dealing damage, so a bit more of a thing. But no, yeah, and you're just going through it, and it's just giving you all this stuff, and I hate to be the cynical person because it's just like, it's just great this package exists, but then the modern cynical me goes, this would be like microtransaction or paid DLC.
Oh god, yeah,
it's just, they would never give this away and make unlocking it so rewarding.
No, you would make this like these would be like battle pass items where you have to grind the XP of the multiplayer to get this stuff.
This would give people in like marketing teams an aneurysm because they'd be looking at it and going, "You fools, you idiots! I can't. I am so mad at you. I am getting the paddle out."
Just with the characters and the multiplayer, like what is like you get a duck, you get an Elvis, gingerbread man. Like there's like that would all just be a
robot with a fish tank for a head.
Yeah. That's Fortnite skins.
Well, that's why. It's something that we mentioned in the last episode, which is like one of the designers on this game, David Doak, was very pressing in regards to. I don't know ever we like set the template for Fortnite, but like we were doing this stuff like 10 years before that game, well, even longer, 15 years before that game came out. So
oh yeah, it's a complete package, but it was all there from the start. And I mean that's the thing. Like this is why me and my friends played it for 2 years. Actually, it is the funny thing because we played very repetitively, but. You have basically a package which is what everything else has been doing and will be doing for the next several years, and you just have it in one game with a map maker, and like there's so much to it. It's like this is the all-in-one package.
It's so
it does stumble, like as we talked about with Wild West, in that because it's so modular, it's not a best fit, but it's a pretty damn good fit for a lot of stuff.
No, absolutely, and it's like it's worst level. Like the worst levels in this game would be some games' best levels. Like that is how higher quality we're talking about with, and it's bizarre because it is that level of high quality, but there is so much stuff in it. It is, like that's what I mean. Like in regards to like how do we even? Because I was about to say like what like after arcade like do we talk about the map maker or do we talk about multiplayer next? Because there's just so much stuff in this game, you know.
And I mean, okay, so I did jot down,
sure,
and I did talk about the comedy of the scenarios. One that stuck out to me was one where you're playing as security guards gunning down software engineers. Not software engineers, software pirates. Sorry, which is like, oh, that's a joke. It's funny. It reminded me of the game Quarantine, where you were like had a mission where you killed software pirates, and I don't know, that's just an amusing but very bleak kind of sidetrack.
Wasn't the writing wasn't the level description as well as like they're stealing the hottest game? You need to stop them or something like that.
They've burned 20 discs, so 20 of their lives ought to make up for it. Like holy shit! That's also just you think about how swears. Oh, they made 20 copies.
Oh yeah,
you're breaking out the fucking armory for this one.
Oh no, we're going to lose. We're gonna lose 1,200 quid on this shit. Take them out.
So one was Chinese chefs versus zombies, which was on the China map from the first game. There's a few throwback maps. That's on cool. This.
Well, yeah, because China, the Chinese restaurant comes back in like all of them because. They just really like
it's a stock stage. It kind of survives throughout because it's a good layout for a stage. It's got a lot of in and outs and like interesting cut-throughs. Has a big gong. You know what a funny fact is as well? You know the Siberia level?
Yeah.
That is in the files as a multiplayer map. It's just unused.
Funny. I wonder, maybe they started designing it.
It comes up in one Arcade League thing and a couple of challenges. Very weird. It just goes neglected besides that. Because it is functional as a multiplayer stage.
I wonder maybe if that was like a last, because you know how usually they save like the first level of the game, so like the last thing because they figured everything out. Maybe it was like that was like a really late in the day decision of, oh no, this would be better as a single player level or something like that.
I mean maybe, but it was meant to be multiplayer also.
Oh right,
yeah, like it has usable like data for being used as a multiplayer stage, so I'm not saying it would have been there instead of the other. It would have been.
Oh, sure, yeah. Interesting. I mean, like, it's quite a large level for multiplayer, but it could work.
There's some pretty big ones, and another one, and this is just a joke that's like, oh boy, yeah, in today's climate, you wouldn't make this joke. And I'm not saying that in like a thingy way of like, oh, you can't say anything anymore. But so Harry Tipper versus busty women in the Aztec, and the level description, the mission description is Harry Tipper, alone in the Aztec jungle with a bunch of gorgeous young ladies with his reputation, has no one thought of the consequences. Just keep your bow in hand, Tipper, and don't be getting shrunk just so you can look up their skirts. Because this was another one of those awful challenges, and as is alluded to in the description there, this is one-hit kills, crossbow only, shrink mode.
Ugh.
This was horrifically difficult because they are fast. And if you're in first place, all of your enemies are smaller than you and getting faster. It's such a pain in the ass. And it has probably one of my favorite. It has one of my favorite like things that I went and I checked a guide from this. It's like, God, you've learned all the fucking wrong lessons from Odd Job on this one.
Oh,
yeah. The tip was because the strategy section just said, make sure your shot is always the first off and you'll survive. Just good advice for a gunfight in general, I find. Shoot first. And the rest of it is just a paragraph of more or less saying, you're just going to have to get lucky on this one, pal.
Yeah.
And that can describe a lot of the latter half of Elite unless you are, or not just Elite, but the Honorary League, the Medium League. Because it goes... I think Amateur League starts very fun. Everyone complains about the Virus League, but I really liked it. I had a lot of fun with Virus, but I think, again, played a lot of Virus as a kid, so I had that drilled into me how to play Virus. I would like... Is one that's listed as one of the hardest challenge leagues, and it's for some reason placed at the beginning, and that was like one of the few platinums I fucking just got clean. So, that's like my one area of skill is Virus mode.
There we go. That's your speciality mode is Virus.
Yeah. And then you start getting into the Elite League where it's, as I said, you spawn in the wrong place, just fucking restart right away. This run is dead, like dead on arrival. And dual meaning, which is where I stopped, was one-on-ones and you are facing a far sturdier opponent and got to I am the frailest character in the game fighting a golem. I hope I get the rocket launcher first. It doesn't actually matter what he gets. I'll die if he shoots. Yep. That's on the stock mode where you have lives. You can afford to die once, and you have to kill this thing 6 times.
Oh, God.
It's a nightmare. And that's where I was like, you know what? I know what I'm going to say. This game has a lot of unlocks. It's great, and this mode is infuriating.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it is cool that they get, like, so much juice out. I mean, there is so much content in the game anyways that, yeah, of course they would get so much juice out.
Yeah, they've made all this stuff, and then the Arcade League is, hey, let's just demonstrate to the player the sheer breadth of what they could do with this tool set.
Yeah.
It's like a little spark to the imagination. It's like, hey, if this challenge seemed fun... you can do this with your friends, because when you're setting up a mode, you can set up custom parameters, you can set up like handicaps, you can set up exact what weapons you want with a thing of 6, you can change the music, you can do this, what will all the bots be? It's just tailor it, make it what you want. It's a little big planet of shooters, I guess.
Yeah, no, weirdly, yeah, good way of putting that. That's not even mentioning the fact that it does have a proper map maker in it. Although I mean, we talked about the map maker in the first one, and this is just like a really, really. I mean, TimeSplitters 2 is an improved version of TimeSplitters 1, but like the map maker especially is where all that stuff gets super fixed up. But I mean, Hammers, like when you used to do like play the multiplayer back in the day, did you stick to the stuff that the game gave you, or did you get like much into the map maker on it?
So we would usually play. I had one friend who had the GameCube, so we would always go to their house to play, and he would a lot of times just like spend hours creating custom scenarios and maps that we would play. And yeah, this was a game that we got hooked on for weeks and weeks. I don't even know how long we played it, but he would create like cool scenarios, but also just the traditional, I feel like just the regular deathmatch or like capture the bag or something. Yeah. It's just great, just how it is. Yeah.
So I was that friend.
You were the one?
I was the one. I had the copy of the game. I would make maps for all my mates to play.
Yeah.
And make scenarios and set all that up. And this is an anecdote I held off on in the first episode, James, because this is where it becomes relevant. It's really funny. I think TimeSplitters 2 taught me what it feels like to be an artist who is unappreciated at the age of 9. So I mentioned that friend James and like how we'd have every map had to be Return to Planet X. Well,
Yeah.
so I made like lots of maps. I made tons of maps, and I wanted to do all the modes and do all that stuff. But I knew what it felt like to have like made better work, but no one cares because to someone else you have made your magnum opus, even though it was crap. Even though it was like you've learned so much since then. Because in all of that, I had a series of maps that I basically just shot out like over a couple of days, and they were just called corridors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they were just kind of like random arrangements of corridors, no real flow, like really weird random lighting on all of them, nonsense weapon pickups. Corridors 2 became like all my mates wanted to play, even though I thought it was garbage. I was like, I made it in half an hour. It was random, but it was like for like ages, months even. Fucking virus on Corridors 2. the P90 gun, virus on Corridors 2. Day out. And it's like, I made Corridors 3. I made this map. It's a lot more interesting. No, Corridors 2. Play it.
Well, I mean, they did make, they made Dust 3, but people were like, no, Dust 2, that's what we want.
No one cared about
Corridors
Dust
3. Want that one.
So yeah, I made the classic gaming map that no one has played, Corridors 2. Prescient, I predicted the corridor shooter genre.
No, I was about to say, you were ahead of the curve. People didn't want, they didn't want Halo open worlds. They just wanted a really long corridor that they could just shoot down. That was all, that was all they wanted.
So yeah, just a very early age, just learning what it's like to have made something and just kind of thrown it out, and it kind of pops off, and then you make stuff that's better and no one cares because they've found what they like. It's like, damn, I learned that lesson early.
You were like,
imagine what it would be like now if you could upload like maps and stuff to like an online server.
Oh God, yeah.
God, yeah. That was always the promise of. I bought Future Perfect for the X rather than getting the GameCube version. I got the Xbox version because it had the Xbox Live support, and I was like, oh, I'll be able to put my own levels up, and people, and I can download it. And it was like, no, it was only ever for the multiplayer. It's just like, oh, what a missed opportunity, you know?
Yeah, maybe just wasn't there yet, like the infrastructure to host this stuff, though.
No,
I don't remember how maps are stored because I imagine it just has to be like arrangement data, right?
Oh God, yeah, it's probably just it just generates a string of a text file because everything's prefabricated and it's all put on a grid. So yeah, you just have to say in 1A is piece B10 or whatever. So yeah, I imagine it would be relative. I mean, I'm not folks at home. I'm not a programmer, but just in case. But I imagine, probably relatively simple to store. It's not like actual 3D geometry because it's pulling all of that stuff from the actual game files itself. So,
right, and it's just a funny thing that maybe it wasn't there yet, or it was like just an oversight or ambition or whatever. But no, like if this was made nowadays, like the map maker would be so pushed as like, hey, you can share this stuff online and go forever.
Yeah.
I mean, we're kind of dating the episode, but like Forge, the beta has just come out for Halo Infinite, and it's so bizarre how like far things have gone from here, where it's like they've recreated Andy's room from Toy Story using that map maker. Is bonkers.
It was a funny thing though, because we're only the TimeSplitters 2. We're only a few years out from the early console editions of Far Cry, which
that's true. Yeah,
they were all bundled in very complex map making tools, which we weren't like doing the kind of couch gameplay anymore. And the Far Cry console games were before they became the Ubisoft engine that we all know today. I'm talking Far Cry 2 Instinct and all that. Like we had kind of stopped playing these games, and they were a little bit rubbish, to be fair, on console.
Yeah.
But you could do interesting stuff with it. I've always been slightly enamored with console-bound level editors, and the one in TimeSplitters is grid-based, and it is a step up from TimeSplitters 1 in that...
Oh, yeah.
It actually... TimeSplitters 1 kind of suffered from... It's like you're playing Tetris and you have no like fucking L piece or whatever. It's weird.
Yeah, it feels too prototypey is the
Yeah.
thing. Like it's functional and it works, but it like hasn't had the extra spit and polish which takes it over the line, which that's just 2 in a nutshell. And then 3 is like, well, how do we polish what's already been polished, and you add too much to it and it kind of bogs it down. But
Yeah, I did not use it as much in TimeSplitters 3, though I think that's because I was just kind of burnt out on being the map maker guy by that
yeah,
point.
exactly.
So I was like,
Where's
I'm not
Corridors
up to it.
3?
Where's Corridors 3? I think there was a Corridors 3. I think there was like several more Corridors, but none of them caught on like Corridors 2. The
Snake,
Corridors map line had one hitter.
You should bring corridors back. You should do like put corridors like because we're recording because this game came out the 8th of October 2002. So we are like recording over 20 years after
I
it came
gotta
out.
make Corridors
gosh.
20th anniversary edition.
The 20th anniversary
Oh,
edition
man.
of Corridors. That could be you.
Got to bring it back.
It would be impossible to recreate it because besides playing on it so much, it was just genuinely me grabbing like tile pieces and throwing them around and in a bunch of corridors. I remember like one portion from the map which was all of those like there's one tile connect rooms that connect on all sides and they have the pillars, and it was just that, and everything was differently lit, so it was a fucking horrible room to be in because it was just a vomit of colors. It was a kaleidoscope. It was a stained glass window in 3D enterable form. God, yeah, but that is generally just why this one works better than the TimeSplitters 1, which is more connecting pieces, which open up the map making just a lot. It doesn't feel like there were pieces in TimeSplitters 1 that's like, this doesn't really cleanly connect to anything, so all the levels become weird and twisty and they don't really go anywhere, whereas this, you actually have the means that you could make a nice layout because you've got you've got basically a good Lego set here. Like no missing pieces, nothing's quite wrong, and you can get a bit freeform with it.
This is like the perfect middle ground between what they try to do in the first one, where it's kind of figured out, but it just needs a bit more spit and polish, and then like eventually where you get with like Halo 3's Forge, where it's like, well, it almost feels like a 3D program at that point, where you're trying to translate and move these big chunky pieces in like 3D space, and it's just a bit too much for a console game. But yeah, this just hits the sweet spot, and I think because they're coming from the GoldenEye style kind of sort of gritty cubic maps anyways, it just works. It's really good.
Hammers, your friend who made custom scenarios, did he mess around with like flags and making a campaign stage? I never quite touched that.
Not that I remember.
Okay.
I mean, this was a long time ago.
Yeah, fair enough. It was a bit too I felt it was a bit too cumbersome, so I was like half tempted. Should I make a campaign stage before the podcast, see what that's all about? And I think that was maybe a step too far for me. A bit too rich for my blood. Maybe on Future Perfect, because I think they simplified that aspect a bit, or made the menus a bit more.
Yeah, it has a lot of the the triggers are quite simple, like if then statement stuff, so it should be easy to set up.
So I might bother, but I'm not sure what more I'd get out of it other than you could make a little kind of custom campaign stage on that besides anything else. So if you wanted to set up like little single player challenges, that's also very rudimentary, but it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just insane that it's there to begin with, to me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just that they added that in just because. But it seems like it was like a passion for them when they made it.
Oh, 100%, yeah. I mean, it's funny that like the one thing that we haven't really done in this episode so far, which may become our longest episode, we'll see what happens with that, but we didn't really talk about like the history of how this was made. That being said, not a ton of interesting development stories. This is like in your head where you go, okay, you make the first one, and then the second one is, well, we knew what worked and what didn't, and we fixed the stuff that didn't.
Yeah,
that's the development story of TimeSplitters 2.
That's kind of the problem, because the interesting development history is all in one, and I said it during that one. TimeSplitters 1 just feels like a beta, like a dry run for this. So, what do you do other than just go harder on it? Fix up what's not quite working, and the rest banging good.
And like
make it better.
it was impressive that they turned around TimeSplitters 1 in about 10 months.
Yeah,
This
it was
was
a short turnaround.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
this game had 2 years, so, like, well, if they were able to achieve that in 10 months, imagine what they could do in double the time, and they gave
Yeah.
us TimeSplitters 2, so it's...
And they didn't even have to do the base this time. They had that to fucking refine
No, I have to.
from.
And the shocking thing as well is that, like, looking at, like, interviews with him was that this was a game made by 30 people.
Oh, God.
Like, you think of, like, games nowadays which are made by, like... And again, I don't want to...
I mean,
Folks,
it's a thing of
this
graphics
isn't a
budget
nostalgia podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I
have
did
been
play
very adamant to me off call. Like, I don't just want this to be nostalgia bait.
I don't just want this to be nostalgia on the podcast. I had never played this game until this year for the podcast. The year that we're recording and this episode is going out. Winky, winky. I genuinely think this is, like, this is my favorite game that we've ever played for Bullet Time. But this goes beyond, like, you know, oh, it's amazing for its time. Like, no, like, TimeSplitters 2 is, like, they could release this on Steam today and it would be #1 in the charts.
Oh, yeah.
Easy.
It's
Just
such
add
a
like an
good
online portion to it, and then just
God, yeah.
maybe update textures slightly. Probably not even that much.
No, to just, like, make sure that it can render in HD and Bob's your
Yeah.
uncle.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that, yeah, as game development gets more complicated and the teams get bigger, and a lot of it is on kind of graphics and hype and marketing, but you have kind of lost something where working at this scale, something can be made which punches this far above its weight, and it kind of does it like it's nothing.
Yeah.
And obviously,
I guess-
that's the luck of having a good development team and a good vision, and
No,
like a really good pedigree. Like, not any 30-man team could make this. That's what's so exceptional.
This game came out 5 years after GoldenEye 007. And, I mean, God, it's even shocking to think that, like, how rudimentary GoldenEye was compared to... But in 5... And it's like... God, like, comparing, like, Call of Duties from, like, this year and 5 years ago, and it's like, oh, they're kind of similar, and it's like...
I think that's a bit... I get where you're coming from, but it's like, it's so incremental. It's like, it hit a point where it's... I think we're in the stage where it's diminishing returns unless there's kind of an upheaval on what kind of game developers are into.
And you're
I don't
absolutely
really
right. Like,
see that. I see that happening slowly, if at all, because, like, I don't know. Putting it in a way that I don't know if it sounds cynical, is like stuff like Minecraft wasn't quite the wake-up call that it could have been. It changed things. It made additions in it, but it revitalized more of an indie scene kind of thing than a AAA development effort.
As I've been saying for years, it's like, you know, a lot of people are so, oh, I'm burnt out on AAA games, there's nothing good. And it's like, well, fucking indie...
Don't play
like,
AAA games then. If I existed exclusively in that sphere, I'd be cynical, but...
No, but,
there's
like,
always
indie games
weird and
now are
interesting
so... And,
stuff.
like, I mean, it was a question that you... Like, a question that is, like, burned into my brain since we've done that episode of, is TimeSplitters a boomer shooter? Where...
No, I don't think so.
It's not on, like, a technical basis, but it's like we are now getting into the era of people are making FPS games.
I'm just going to say, just because this game has turned us into boomers right now does not mean it is a boomer shooter.
I am drinking a Monster Zero and sitting on my lawnmower as we talk about this. No.
I mean, this game is making the two of us go, oh man, what could have been?
I'm gonna send this around. All right, I'm gonna pull this back. So first things first. This was made by industry veterans, literally at this is like a fucking dream scene between, like, LeBron, Jordan, fucking Magic, like, all, like, this is the fucking Monstars from Space Jam making a game. It is exceptional, like, what they were able to achieve. And again, like, I mentioned Titanfall 2 earlier, and this feels like the nearest thing of the original Call of Duty team, the team that gave us, you know, the Pit Priap mission in Call of Duty 4, all these great... Then going... Them at the top of their game making, like, one of the best campaigns.
Yeah, it was the perfect confluence of people at the perfect time to make this thing.
And a lot of modern games are made by people of all sorts of backgrounds. And I mean, if I was going to be... To flip it another way, I mean... There's not a lot of accessibility options in TimeSplitters too.
I'm gonna put it like this with, like, nostalgia and all that is... and it's something I always see is like, oh, why is there so much crap coming out nowadays? It's like, the crap will be forgotten. The crap will sink into the mud. Like, there were crap games coming out right next to TimeSplitters 2.
But 1,000%, yeah.
Oh,
yeah, like, and then you kind of, years go by. Hey, guess what? We remember TimeSplitters 2 because it was fucking amazing. And the rest is stuff that me and MrHammers are going to cover in due time.
And
there's always room for jank.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's, as you always say, you need a little bit of jank in your diet to better appreciate the good stuff. And
no, it's like fiber in your diet. It works the gut muscles.
You
can't really digest it, but damn, does it do you some good?
No, and this is the best game I've played for bullet time, is because every other shooter on bullet time is put into perspective. Oh god, this isn't a AAA game in regards to like what a modern AAA game is, but this is a dream. This is like what a dream team can produce. This is like this is like a work of the sublime, which is why I'm so in the head of they could just re-release this. I mean, literally the only
if it was re-released as is and it caught a new audience, like it would feel like a wake-up call to some of them. Is like, this was from 2000, was it 2002 or 2000?
2002,
yeah. October 2002. And it's like, I just get all this stuff. I can just have it. I just unlock it. It's like, that would be like the Matrix. No battle pass, no. The only battle you need to pass is the arcade league, and
you gotta earn it. You gotta earn it. That's the thing.
The thing is that even if they implemented all of those like battle pass stuff, I would still probably really enjoy. I mean, it was the same thing with Halo Infinite. I really liked the multiplayer in spite of its bad battle pass, but then it made me think of, oh, I liked Halo 3 when you could just unlock armor for, doing achievements.
Oh yeah, I have fond memories of doing the Vidmaster shit to get all those armor pieces. It felt like an event. Like that kind of live service has its fucking issues, and I'm never gonna fucking claim otherwise, but there was something fun about, like, all me and my mates, we got out of school and like, holy shit, the Vidmaster stuff, and we all got together and cooperated to get that stuff.
Yeah.
That's like, a joyful memory from a good few years after, like, the good memories we had with TimeSplitters 2.
Yeah. You know what? Here's my thing on nostalgia then. Because like I said, I knew what this game was, and I knew that it existed for so long, and it was this, people really like TimeSplitters 2, but I hadn't played it till this year. So, yeah, the fact that I could play this after years of quality of life improvements and, Call of Duty 4 and all that sort of stuff, and really enjoy it, I think is a really good thing. But I don't want to go back to the era that this game came out in.
Well, I just that's the thing is, like, people want to recapture nostalgia, but I think the memory should be good enough. Make new ones.
No, exactly.
Like, nostalgia should be not, God, I was happy 5 years ago. Nostalgia should be, I hope 5 years from now I'm happy remembering this moment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why I think this game should be like Tetris and Pac-Man, where they release a new version of it for any time a new console comes out. Every new console should have Tetris, and every new console should also have TimeSplitters 2 on.
Yeah, it's like every Nintendo fucking console gets a Smash. Every console should get a TimeSplitters.
It should, but specifically TimeSplitters 2.
Okay, not even a new one, just...
No. Just TimeSplitters 2 is a Tetris-like. It is a perfect thing in my eyes.
Well, okay. I can see it. I can see the argument. I don't even... Yeah, you don't need to update this. This is the all-in-one package.
You just make sure it runs in HD. That's it. The graphics even hold up because they went for stylized artwork. Perfect. They just figured it out.
I mean, that's the thing, actually. I played this on Dolphin. I patched it to run in 16:9. The menus don't. I played it in 4K, and besides some text textures and fonting, typefacing, which isn't good, which someone has patched. There is a custom patch you can get to make the fonts look good at 4K. It looks good. It looks great. It holds up at 4K, and this game is packed into Homefront: The Revolution, which we'll get to down the line. Do you want to go over that? The kind of
just very quickly. So we're going to talk about Homefront: The Revolution for probably the final episode of this series. But one of the things that was kind of like rumored, but So kind of while they were working on it, there's been back and forth for years and years that they were going to do TimeSplitters Rewind, which was a fan project, which was rebuilding TimeSplitters in a different engine, and then that kind of fell at the wayside, and then it sounded like that became an internal project at Crytek UK. And then when Homefront the Revolution came out, people found a surprise hiding in it, which was there was an arcade machine that you unlocked some point later in the game that has 2 levels from TimeSplitters 2 in it. There is Siberia, and I want to say...
It's Chicago. It's the first 2 stages.
Yeah, it was the first 2 levels.
Okay, so it is Chicago. Yeah. All right. And that was that. And people were like, okay, cool. And, you know, you can play it with modern controls. You've played on the PC. It's the first time you can play that game with mouse and keyboard, and it breaks it because it wasn't designed for that. But it's fun. It's really solid. But after the fact, people were doing digging and discovered that, oh, it actually isn't the first 2 levels of TimeSplitters 2. TimeSplitters 2 is in the game. And
not quite. Arcade
Well,
League and all of the campaign. It's not quite a full package, but it's there. There's a lot of it.
And the reason that not everything is unlocked, because like developers came out afterwards and explained it, and even there are codes out there that if you want to unlock this for yourself, you just put these codes in either on, and it's across all the versions, Xbox Series, Xbox One, PS4, and the PC version. You can put these codes in and unlock these modes. Some of them are a little bit buggy. Sometimes it like crashes and sends you back to the menu and stuff like that. That's pretty much the only... That was like, yeah, we couldn't get it all done in time, so we just focused on polishing up the first 2 levels. But yeah, so technically TimeSplitters 2 is available on modern systems, but
In kind of
but you get a free game
incomplete-ish
with it,
form.
which is quite nice. So
And there are modders who are doing kind of fan patches and bug fixes, and there
Yes.
is one mod which just makes the TimeSplitters 2 a separate executable, so you can just go right. You can
Just
go
open it up.
right to- Yep.
you just cut off all of the it's like buying a whole chicken just to eat the wing.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, you get a free copy of Homefront the Revolution with your TimeSplitters 2 purchase.
Yeah, which isn't the worst thing in the world, as we will get into when we talk about Homefront the Revolution. But
I think I'm a fair bit more down on that game than you are, but yeah, it's not the worst thing in the world.
it's not. It's absolutely fine. It is. It's the perfect bullet time game versus this game, which they should like fucking
It's almost too
People-
good for us.
like they should put together like the polygon writers and the waypoint writers and stuff. Just put them in the room and just have them write beautiful prose about TimeSplitters 2.
Get all the finest games journalists from around the world.
Yeah, put them together to come up with the most succinct and perfect sentence about TimeSplitters 2. You know that we did say that this game doesn't miss its mark in regards to quality or anything like that, and then you kind of said, oh, well, games that are sort of were forgotten at the time and have kind of since gone on to be forgotten. I do have to mention, this game did well at retail, but according to the developers, didn't sell as well as they were hoping because Eidos didn't print enough copies of it.
That's a hell of a way to fail.
Yeah.
And they kept going to Eidos and saying, why aren't you selling enough copies? And they were like, well, it's a bit of a weird game. You know, you travel through time and it's really hard to sell. TimeSplitters as a concept.
Oh,
They
that's
were
the
like-
tragedy, yeah.
And they were like, well, GoldenEye was a big success. And it's like, yeah, but that's a Nintendo game. That was always going to be a big success.
Well, wasn't the first TimeSplitters like a launch title for the
It was,
PlayStation?
and it was a bestseller on PlayStation. It was a platinum hit on PlayStation.
And off of that, like pedigree, they didn't decide to make
No, they
more
were-
copies.
No, they
The
were just-
story of Free Radical is one of constantly getting screwed from above. That's what I'm learning.
Another thing as well is that Eidos told them we're not doing a GameCube version until right at the last minute.
Oh my gosh.
And they were like, well, we have a really good relation. Like, we made GoldenEye, we have a good relationship with Nintendo. And they were like, yeah, but people would buy GameCubes, don't buy FPS games. What's the point? The only reason they relented is because they went to Activision and said, do you want to publish TimeSplitters 2 for the GameCube? Eidos has no interest.
It's this funny thing where it's the dream team, but every moment was a waking nightmare because they would
It
get
is
jerked around by literally everyone they worked for.
It is bizarre. It's like it's so weird. Like playing this game now and going, oh, everybody who touched this must have known it was a brilliant work. But then you have IDOS just being kind of like, yeah, it's a bit weird though, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
you know, not everyone's gonna. And don't put this on the GameCube's got Mario on it. People aren't really gonna appreciate that.
This is a foreshadowing for Future Perfect, where it gets worse.
So to end that story, they do publish TimeSplitters 2, and it is a success. But at the same time, IDOS is like in financial freefall. Like their Tomb Raider games aren't doing super well at this point. Like Angel of Darkness was a huge financial failure for them, and like quite a lot of their other projects aren't sticking about. So at this point, Free Radical are like, yeah, IDOS, we could do better with a better publisher. So this is when they decide to go elsewhere for their future games, which, yeah, that will bite them in regards to Future Perfects.
They bailed off of a sinking ship, and then they jumped onto a boat that they were then chased off of.
Yeah, they escaped from a sinking ship onto a ship full of cutthroat pirates who chased them around.
Yeah, probably the worst publisher out there that'll kill studios for little to no reason.
They'll just
And then they jumped to another publisher, which the boat might as well have been a fatberg.
No, I'm talking about EA.
Oh yeah,
no. But then they went to Ubisoft for Haze.
Oh my gosh.
And Ubisoft were even worse than EA because they actually meddled in the development of Haze.
Oh man.
So, yeah, they just couldn't catch a break. It's just this tragic tale. I mean, we've now gone ahead of ourselves, but sod it, now that we're in, it's just...
Sure.
You had this team, and they were capable of making great shooters, but the concept was too crazy. It was in the worst period because it was this weird age of gaming where everything was either Nintendo, and it's like, oh, Nintendo would never take this, because... What a rock and a hard place. Like, they won't buy your shooter game, they're into Mario, whereas everyone else is like, this isn't quite gritty and grim enough, and it's a bit too weird to market, so you're not going to do well here either, and we're not going to push you. Yeah, it was the worst place to be. You're just rock and a hard place.
And
you're not
as I
selling
mentioned
in
the Geist episode, Nintendo wanted mature games on the GameCube because they realized, oh, if it's only Mario, we're fucked, which... That's the whole reason Geist exists, because they were like, they wanted an M-rated... Like, they had the whole...
They had Eternal Darkness on the bloody console.
They had the Capcom... That was the whole fucking thing. Miyamoto went for dinner with Kojima to say, please put Metal Gear Solid on the GameCube. We just need a hit. Come on. Like, we just need the boys to play it. The whole Capcom 5 thing, and even the deal that they penciled for the Biohazard games was a point to... get mature gamers onto the GameCube, and nothing stuck. What a fascinating period of games development and publishing.
Unappreciated in their time. Or, well, appreciated, but not by the people who should have realized what they had on their hands.
No, absolutely. But it's nice that TimeSplitters 2 exists today. You will have to download it from a dodgy ROM website and play it on Dolphin, or buy Homefront the Revolution and play it through that. Either way, you're going to have an excellent time. And if people listen to this podcast and go, wow, James really enjoyed that game, it must be kids, maybe TimeSplitters may come back. We can only hope.
So, I guess I'll bring it up now then, because there is a ongoing effort. It's been going on for, I think, over 5 years now. I gotta look it up. TimeSplitters fan remake. Rewind, that's what it's called.
Yeah, Rewind.
And it is it's promising to be kind of, a best of kind of fan compilation, all your favorite maps. I think obviously a primarily multiplayer bundle. And it's been in development since 2013. We're coming up on 9 years that they've been cracking at this.
It's been in development so long, they've moved engine 3 times. I believe it was originally Unreal Engine 3, then moved to CryEngine, and then moved back to Unreal. So
yeah, there are 5 listed fan-made games on the fan wiki, but one released in 2008. not quite there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of it's somewhat in the fans' hands, but there have been rumblings for years, like how they're going to be let loose to make a TimeSplitters 4.
Well,
I hope it happens, and I hope it actually gets the care it actually needs. And
well, it's interesting because Embracer Group owns Cry UK and all them lot. They actually reformed Free Radical Limited about half a year ago and put Dr. Doak and Carl Hilton, I think, back in charge of the studio. And I think probably the idea is they will do something TimeSplitters related. But because Dambusters, which is kind of what they evolved into and then kind of went back and forth, they're working on the much anticipated Dead Island 2. So
oh boy.
yeah, that game which will definitely be coming out in 2023.
It got delayed by a couple of months just the other day.
That is true, yeah. It's being delayed to April, so that's fine. It'll be fine.
Being delayed into an April Fool's joke.
That'd be good. It comes out on April 1st, and if people don't like it, it's like, yeah, but it's a joke, you see.
They just take it back.
Yeah, they just take it
Never
back.
mind. What was that game that did that? Was it the Calling 2? That came out.
That lasted a week.
And just disappeared.
Yeah, ran out of money instantly, gone. And then they re-released the Culling 1, but by that point, no one cared.
Yeah.
Damn.
It was a tragical
Sorry,
thing.
side tangent.
That's all right. This is a podcast full of them.
This is where this is what we go on to, This is where we go. It's just where the topic leads.
Speaking
it's
of
called
where we
bullet
go
time
on
because we
to-
get to talking about the game in slow motion.
That's true, yeah, and it is a game about time travel. But it doesn't have a lot of time effects in it, which
No,
I don't know.
it's funny that, there's not much actual time manipulation.
No,
then, yeah,
they don't even
framing
really
device.
play with that in the third one, but I guess we'll talk more about that when we get to the third one.
Yeah.
Folks, it's time for everybody's favourite part of the podcast. We're going to do the charts. We're going to do the week that TimeSplitters 2 came out, and we're going to figure out what was it going up against. Before we start, I want to give a quick shout out to Chris Chapman from the channel Retro Histories, who came in clutch in getting us actual great chart data from this time. So these are the UK charts, which was kind of easy to find, but they're a UK studio. We got 2 UK hosts, kind of makes sense. And in fairness, if they were doing well over in UK land, they were probably doing well on the US land, so it won't be too hard on these guys. But
I mean, it depends on if a FIFA came out this week, then there might be some diversions.
that's very true. But yeah, Hammers, just for you, if you haven't listened to the podcast before and you're not sure, I'm going to give you some clues, and it's you and Snake, got to buzz in, even though you don't have buzzers, and guess what the games were in the charts this week. But I will give you some clues for that.
All right.
So, number 1 in the charts this week is TimeSplitters 2. It debuted.
That was easy.
Yeah,
Wow.
it debuted in the charts. The week it qualified was the 19th of October 2002. But yeah, it came in swinging at number 1. And yeah, it was a nice financial boost to IDOS, who weren't doing too great at the time. Funnily enough, the second game of the charts is another IDOS published game. It's down 1 place to number 2 this week. It's the first sequel to a game which has now gone on to be a long-running franchise, and as I said, it is a IDOS property.
First, did you say first, second?
Is there any hint on genre or?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What are
it is
we looking
a
at?
third-person action game.
And it's ongoing to this day, and this was a second entry in it.
This franchise has moved hands between a couple of different publishers, but it is currently with... Oh no, I think it's currently self-published, actually. Which is interesting.
Huh. Okay.
Is it Hitman?
It is Hitman 2.
very
Do you
good.
remember the subtitle?
Silent
Hitman
Assassin.
2. Oh, yep, yeah.
Hitman 2, Silent Assassin, number 2 in the charts.
I do remember that one. That's the one where he's hanging out with a priest at the beginning.
That's right. I think that's the one where it gives you the briefcase as well in it, or is that in the first one as well? I know it introduces something.
I have not played. I've not played the first. I only played second onwards for a bit.
Apparently, is it 2 or is it Contracts, which is like the best one of the old ones?
Blood Money. Blood Money.
Yeah.
Contracts is good though. Contracts is all right, but it's a bit of an awkward middle child.
Yeah. No, I was trying to remember what's the name of the one which everyone... And yeah, it's Blood Money. That's the boy. Number 3 in the charts, down from number 2 the week before, is a EA published game in a series which sort of defies genres, although if I kind of gave you the genre, it would give it away, I suppose.
An EA game that defies genres.
Yeah, it really was one of the biggest games on PC when the first one came out.
Is it a sports game?
Oh, it is not a sports game.
Okay.
It's a game that you don't usually associate with EA, but it is like they published it on behalf of the developer who made it, which the developer who made it were better known for a genre where you managed very big things, but then in this one you were kind of more managing the very small things.
Oh, is this Sims?
This is a Sims game, but the subtitle is, I want to say it's one of the console ones.
Is it Sims Pets?
It might. I mean, it's on. I might just give it away because I don't know.
I want to keep going because I'm.
Okay, I think it might be pet related, but it's a pun on that. You would like this because it's a pun that you would come up with.
Oh, that's an insult. Oh God.
Well, wait and see. Wait and see you figure it out. So it's The Sims : and then it's like the Sims have pets, and they're breaking out. They're going places they didn't before. It's almost
Sims busting out.
It's not busting out. No, it's
the herbs.
It's not the herbs. This subtitle shares its subtitle with a Sonic the Hedgehog game.
Huh.
Unleashed.
It's The Sims Unleashed.
Is that really the name?
That is the name.
I forgot. Why'd they name... Oh, God, Pets Unleashed. That is a pun I would make. Jesus Christ.
Exactly!
That was a good hint.
Wow, that's great.
But that's stupid because the pets... I mean, I guess they are unleashed, but if you have them, they... no, fuck it. I'm upset.
So, number 4 on the charts, up from 5th place last week. It's a sequel to a driving game, and this driving game is very important to an episode that we did on Bullet Time.
Is it? It's not driver free. That'd be way too early.
No, it is not. It is not a driver game. It's a game that you quite like, but I'm not a massive fan of. I like the sequel to this more than this one.
Oh, Burnout?
Yes, it is Burnout.
God,
yeah. Which one?
Burnout 2?
Burnout 2, what's the subtitle?
Revenge?
No, that's the subtitle to Burnout 4.
Takedown?
No, because that's the subtitle to Burnout 3, my favorite one.
Oh man, we got the subtitles all wrong.
A Point of Impact.
Yes, Burnout 2, Point of
How
Impact.
the hell did that come back to me?
I would have never guessed that.
That was just some part of me whispering in my ear shit because I don't know how I remembered that.
I remember you talking about Burnout on one of the past podcasts, though. That's how I remembered that.
So that's why I gave the clue, because, the Burnout games made by Criterion, he obviously made.
It was for Black, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Point
there we go. That's how it came. It all comes back.
I'm going to go to 10 on this one because we didn't do the charts on the last episode, on the TimeSplitters episode. So
okay, I'm struggling with this one. I'm like just blanking so hard.
2002 was a good year.
Yeah. 2002 was a really good year for games. Well, I'm not sure about this one. So number 5 on the charts, down from 4. Mentioned football earlier. But which football game is it?
Is it Pro Evo?
It's not Pro Evolution Soccer, no.
Is this like football or American football?
This is soccer.
Soccer.
This is UK, British football. International football.
Is it FIFA then, just the big one?
It is not FIFA the big one, no.
Oh, okay. This gets
I
more
honestly
interesting.
Have
This
no
is a-
clue.
Is it Red Card?
No, unfortunately for you, it is not Red Card. I mentioned this game on the Black episode, which was so many weeks ago at this point. Like I wouldn't expect you to remember it. But
Not
what I did say
Virtua
was that
Soccer, is it?
it's not Virtua Soccer. This is the one that was published by Sony.
It wasn't Free Lions. That was PS1.
Yeah.
I don't remember the Sony published bloody football game. Was this the club sports ones where every one of them was unique?
No, not quite. The name of this game is like really stupid and blunt in a way that I quite like.
This is football.
This is football. 2003. Number 5 in the charts this week.
God, how did
football?
such a tough name? Of course that sunk to the back of the couch of my mind.
I wish that Sony had stuck with that for like other games, like The Last of Us would just be like, "This is sad, 2013."
Oh god, that is a good naming convention. Yeah, because you could have the "This is" line.
This is Spider-Man 2018.
This is golf.
Yeah, this is everybody's golf. Number 6 in the charts, up 3 places from last week. We were talking about the Nintendo GameCube earlier and how it had a glut of games for children. Classic example, this game, of that.
Oh, game for children.
Game for kids. Nintendo game for kids.
Luigi's
Could
Mansion.
be anything.
Yeah,
It's not Luigi's Mansion, no, but you're on the right track.
So is it a Mario universe game?
It is a Mario Universe game, yeah.
is it Sunshine?
It is Super Mario Sunshine.
All right.
My
That's number
least
6.
favorite 3D
really?
Mario.
Yeah, number 6 on the charts. Even the GameCube wasn't a big seller, but, you know, the Mario games still did pretty well at the time. So, yeah. Now, number 7 on the list is a non-mover from last week. An FPS series that we could potentially cover on the podcast if there's the want to do so. This is an FPS franchise which was huge at this time, but has since... I don't think anyone would remember it from like this point on.
Is it Medal of Honor Frontline?
It's not Medal of Honor, no, but you're kind of on the lines of it is a military shooter. I'll give you this clue. It's something : subtitle. So for the first bit, what I'll give you is it is literally one. Again, going back to kind of bluntness.
Is it Conflict Desert Ops?
I'll give it. It's Conflict Desert Storm.
Oh
which
yeah,
is-
Conflict Desert Storm. Yeah.
How did you get that?
I beat that game co-op with a friend when we were in
He
Army
did like the
Cadets.
he did play the Conflict game.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Well, it's not really that interesting, but the one thing that sticks out to me about that game is it has my favorite co-op feature ever. In the first level, you're going to rescue this guy who's been captured by the enemy. If you're playing in co-op, your friend plays the guy in prison, so you just don't do anything for the first level. You're just sitting in jail waiting
That
for your
is
friend.
fantastic.
Yeah. It's such a daft beginning.
And is it like split screen, so just
Yeah,
half of the
it's like-
screen is
Pretty much. You're just looking at your mate, just like, I can't do shit.
literally just half the screen is completely wasted looking at a guy sitting in a room.
I do think, though, you putting it, it's like no one would really think about it nowadays, because that series just kind of trailed along, staying alive until like the mid 360 era, where I remember the last one was like Conflict Denied Ops, where they were trying to be Black Ops edgy, like trying to stand out, but it's one of these tragic things where like it was just kind of always there. It was like a little yappy dog at the feet of gaming. Meanwhile, COD was just a giant Great Dane that just wanders in, and
It's funny though,
everyone
because like
notices it.
Conflict was like a pretty, like, I guess it must be double. I mean, it's the sort of games that, like,
It's
we
double
would
A
probably-
for sure. It was like,
Yeah.
it was kind of janky. It's this kind of interesting where it's not quite interesting jank. It's not bad jank. It's serviceable, you know?
Yeah. They made a game. It doesn't do anything exceptional, but it also doesn't do anything badly. It is what it is. Conflict, Desert Storm.
It could just be summed up as it is.
It is.
Like if
Number
a-
eight
This
on the
is conflict.
This is Conflict 2003. Number 8 on the charts couldn't be described as a game that just is because released in 2002, really early 2002, PS2 exclusive for a little bit, would quickly become multi-platform. A game so enormous in its cultural footprint that games even today are affected by it.
this released at the start of 2002 and is still sitting at 8 on the charts.
Oh yeah,
It's GTA 3.
it is GTA 3. One of the best. I don't know. I like GTA 3. I like GTA.
I
more.
replayed it a couple years ago and beat it for the first time, and I really like GTA 3. It's fascinating.
It is. Yeah, just like a really solid game, and what a confluence of like this awkward, boxy PS1 top-down racing game becoming like a fucking global hit for decades to come. Yeah,
It's a monumental game to just think back on. Everything that they implemented is just insane.
it's crazy, and it holds up, much like
It
TimeSplitters
holds up,
too.
and
Yeah,
It's
I actually
still-
played it this year a little bit.
Isn't it weird how utterly depressing the tone is in a way that not even later GTA games really do?
No, because I think it's like they felt like, oh well, 3, we kind of nailed it. And no, we want to make we want to really stretch ourselves. But 3 is just wonderful because it's like somebody who watched a ton of like Sopranos box sets and like Goodfellas were like, yeah, I just want to take all my favorite cliches and just like turn those into missions in an open world game. It's like, yep, great, fantastic. Again, it's like TimeSplitters too. They just took a bunch of like cool cliches that they liked, and every single level feels like a really big scene or like a really small movie that would just be really fun to watch. It's great.
It's just a
Number
really,
9
really
on the
good
charts
game.
isn't great, although it is up from 27, which is
Oh.
quite impressive.
Yeah.
This is you could consider it the 4th game in a series, which its original trilogy wrapped up on the PS1. A franchise that I would say very heavy association with Sony. And then when it became multi-platform, wheels kind of came off a little bit.
Is it Siphon Filter?
It's not Siphon Filter, no. The developers of Siphon Filter, before they made Siphon Filter, made Bubsy 3D. And this game you could consider Bubsy being a friend of this guy.
What?
What,
There's a
quiz.
4th game in a series.
Yeah, that's what I'm stuck on.
Yeah, and it's
That's
and
an anti-clue, I think.
it was a trilogy on the PS1, and the wheels have come off.
PS2 game.
It's Crash Bandicoot. It's Crash Bandicoot.
But what is the subtitle?
Cortez fucks a zebra. God.
Hammers, have you got any ideas? What's the...
Had bad loading times.
Crash Bandicoots. The Wrath of Cortex?
Oh,
Is that it?
The Wrath of Cortex, you got it. There you
Oh,
go.
very good. I remember the horrible loading times
Yeah.
and the rollerball mission.
It is also a exceptionally ugly game.
Yeah.
At the time, it is now, and it will be forever, unfortunately. Very ugly
Very
game.
boring too, so you luckily don't even
Yeah.
need to play it.
It was the first, what's it called? Traveler's Tales one. Apparently, they wanted to do something more ambitious, which they eventually would do with Crash Twinsanity. Like, Twinsanity was what they had planned this fourth Crash Bandicoot game to be, but Vivendi were literally like, no. Just remake Crash Bandicoot 3, please. Thank you.
Don't fuck about. Just do what works.
Just
And
do
they
it,
fucked
please.
that up. It wasn't great.
And then finally, number 10 in the charts, wrapped up from 12 to 10 this week. It is a PlayStation, well, it's a multi-platform game. It is based on a popular Pixar film that released, I think, this year.
Pixar film 2002.
Monsters Inc.
It is Monsters Inc.
Oh, wow, good guess.
Good.
I had that game.
It's called like
They seem to
Scare
just have
Academy.
every weird crap game. So.
I was gonna say Shrek for some reason. I don't know why I thought
the
of Shrek.
The Shrek game on Xbox was a goddamn nightmare. It was horrible.
You know what's weird though is that Shrek game was like weirdly cutting edge, and it's like first things first, it's made by DICE before they became the Battlefield developers, and apparently like a ton of like the really early workings of fucking Frostbite apparently was figured out for this Shrek game, because it was one of the first games to do like semi-realist, like the way that it did its rendering, where you had multiple texture maps. So like you had like the base color, and then you had like a specularity map, and then like a shadow map and stuff above that. Like this was the game that pioneered that.
What?
And the reason was because they wanted to make it look like the film. So very weird. Yeah, the Shrek game is like weird, like without it, like a ton of stuff we'd like modern games development just wouldn't exist. It's bizarre.
That is
Wow.
fucking odd. And I guess that's another part of the Shrek meme machine that the internet is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
I
don't
feel
know.
like that
slow
could
of-
be like a video essay video.
That could
Well,
be.
hey, if anybody out there in radio lands, leave us a 5-star comment and then
Yeah.
let us know if you made the video or not. We'd much appreciate it.
It's the perfect confluence of a meme and something actually interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Mr. Hammers, it has been lovely having you on the podcast to talk to us about TimeSplitters 2, the levels that your mates played, and also figuring out what the top games were in 2002. Are you dotted with fantastic games? I didn't even get into like what other FPS games had come out that like TimeSplitters 2 was going up against, but it's so bizarre to think that like that.
Didn't even get into it.
No, it's like because TimeSplitters 2, Halo Combat Evolved, fucking the early like just, what a bizarrely golden era for FPS games.
Yeah.
And
was
TimeSplitters
off
2
to the
just made by
races,
30
new millennium.
people. It's crazy.
That is insane.
But Hammers, it has been lovely having you. Before we wrap up, are there any like last plugs you want to do? Anything you want like people to have a look at?
No, I mean just my YouTube if people are interested in janky 2000s era video games.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it. I had a lot of fun. This was very cool.
Cool. Well, we'd love to have you back for more janky FPS games. I'm sure we can think of a few. So.
Absolutely.
This just kind of bubbles out as we go into the recesses of everyone who's ever played a jank shooter.
Yeah.
It just kind of keeps
This
going.
is a
and going
podcast
and
aimed at
building.
you.
Yeah.
Snake, once again, thank you for going through the Free Radical games with me, especially this
Absolutely.
one.
I've been having a lot of fun with this. It's been lovely.
Yeah. Any plugs you want to make? Anything you want people to have a look
I
at?
don't really have anything to plug at the moment, unfortunately. So I can't really say. Been a bit of a plugless era right now.
Videos will be out by the time this podcast goes out. You can't say what videos they may be. You know, the time is ever changing and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, to Snake era content though is always happening. So I suppose I'll
hovering
plug
around
for
there
you
somewhere.
then. There we go. Meanwhile, I didn't have a plug apart from if you want to have a look at Dan Boltwood, who's the guy who drew the cover for TimeSplitters 2. He's on Twitter. I don't know if Twitter still exists when this episode's being recorded there. But he has a ton of,
weird situation to be in where that might be a dated statement.
yeah, people might be listening to this podcast like in their flying cars, being like, "What the hell is Twitter?
What is a Twitter?
Is he talking about Tumblr 2, my favorite website?
I found
What
this
a
fucking
word-
thing via a toot.
Yeah, yeah.
The etymology of toot.
Yeah, what's a tweet? Do you mean a toot? But yeah, his artwork's really cool. It's very stylized and sort of Bruce Timm looking. So if you're into that sort of stuff, definitely check him out. It's very neat. But as always, I've been James. You can follow me on Twitter at HotCyder, HOTCYDER. Next episode of Bullet Time, we'll be traveling back and forth through time with Free Radical's mind-bending follow-up to TimeSplitters 2, which is 2004's Second Sight. And we'll be joined by video maker Mini-Me. I'm going to have to ask him how we pronounce that when we see him for that, but that should be okay. But until next time, folks, keep splitting.
I don't even know how to fucking respond to that.
Yeah, I don't know. Keep splitting.
Keep splitting. Rather than
splitting?
keep blasting. Keep splitting.
I mean, I was going to think
sense.
maybe I should interrupt him and say time to split, but you curveballed me. You went
Imagine
left.
imagine if we do that on the on the Second Sight episode. I'm about to say, and it's just like time to split. That's like in that game. Oh God. The Bullet Time podcast is made possible by Eric Hamilton Schneider, Valerie B, VG, and the Hot Cider support tier. If you'd like to help with the production of episodes and gain access to extra content, consider supporting over at patreon.com/Hot Cider. That's HOTCYDER. A special thanks to Max Coburn for the Bullet Time theme tune.